This is something we were talking about earlier, how they kind of cycle a little bit. Bloomsdale would be about 15, 20 minutes away, more like 20 in northern St. Genevieve County, and then Farmington under the gun. These are all south of St. Louis right now.
Okay, so the St. Louis area, pretty quiet. We do have, some rain over here on the southeastern side of St. Louis, but no big deal there. Barely even any lightning in any of that. But there's two very distinct lines of thunderstorms here. You can see, let me get my circle so I can draw on here. So we've got this very distinct line, right, which has numerous warnings along it. And then we have this line back out to the west, which is our cold front, which currently has no warnings on it in the News 4 viewing area. That could change at any time, but right now, no warnings along that line. So our focus will be over southeastern Missouri, where we have several severe thunderstorm warnings and a couple of tornado warnings as well. So let me clear this screen and kind of break it all down for you. Bear with me here. Let me turn the lightning off. And now we'll take a look at these warnings. So severe thunderstorm warnings for southern Jefferson County, for west central portions of Reynolds County, and then we've got these two tornado warnings. So let's take a look at this one, which is near the Bloomsdale area. You can see it looks like that's going to miss St. Genevieve off to the northwest. So this one, okay. Hang on just a minute. Let me get my bearings here. I've got several warnings at the same time. I'm trying to...
I'll jump in for a second and just tell you that both of these are just buried in rain. They're rain wrapped. There's rain out ahead of them. So like when we mentioned Bloomsdale and St. Genevieve County, you're getting rain now, but the rotation is buried several miles farther back to the southwest. Same thing in Farmington. You're under rain now, but that rotation is down near Pilot Knob and Iron Mountain Lake.
Okay. So let's start with this northern one. So when the warning came out, this rotation was near Bonne Terre, east of Bonne Terre to be exact, moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll kind of put that on the now, stop the loop here. I'm going to pull the warning box off, and we'll take a look at that velocity data and see what we see. Okay, and you can see where the red and the green sort of come together there. Let's see, draw. So, Steve, this is our area of rotation, yes? So you were tracking, would you track from right here?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I got the exact right spot here.
And if you're in Bonne Terre, you're in the clear from this rotation.
Yeah, this is northeast of you. It's well northeast of Park Hill. So if that's the rotation, let's kind of bring this down to the left. Moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So that is going to take this storm. Let's see. Okay, so it's pretty much in French Village right now. That's where the rotation is. Assuming this holds together, we're going to see the rotation, again, not necessarily rain, but the rotation, the strongest part of the storm, into Kenzie in about 12 minutes, Needmore in 21, Bricky's in 25, and then on into Clement.
I just want to zoom in a little bit because Bloomsdale wasn't mentioned there, and it's going to be really close to maybe just north of Bloomsdale. So that would be Bloomsdale in about 7 minutes or so. So I'm gonna do it from this spot right here.
Yeah.
About 7 minutes, and it's north of 55, north of Bloomsdale, crossing 55 in about 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay.
And yeah, this version of the radar, what we call reflectivity, is not helping at all.
We've got two things against us here. One, it's nighttime, so you can't see the storm. Two, it's raining all the way around the rotation. So honestly, this is a situation where most likely if there is a tornado on the ground, we don't know about it unless we get damage reports after the fact. So that's why these nighttime systems, especially these rain-wrapped systems, are just so scary.
I am getting an idea of more recent timing. This one's moving pretty fast.
The St. Francis, St. Genevieve, I guess they just extended that one, a new tornado warning near Iron Mountain Lake. Moving northeast at 45. That's the St. Francis, St. Genevieve. It goes till 9 p.m. now.
Okay, so what's going on there is they've just basically extended the warning. It's not like it's a new tornado. And it would be...
They're saying that circulation is going to pass between Farmington and Knob Lick.
Okay, so that's the hook right there. That's the hook echo. and then the rotation is kind of buried in the rain back there. You know, I'm thinking it's more less here and more here.
Okay.
And if I track and speed on that, please.
Northeast at 45.
45. That's about what I just had on this. Let's get a new timing. 11 minutes into Farmington. Okay. That's just southeast of Iron Mountain Lake. If you're in Ironton and Pilot Knob in the clear, rotations move to the northeast. Okay.
So Park Hills, Farmington, Knob Lick areas sort of in the path of this storm. That tornado warning that just was issued for southwestern St. Genevieve and southwestern St. Francis goes until 9 p.m.
Okay, and so here's this other circulate. Is this an extension? Is that just what they did, like a new? Yeah. Yeah, they did. You can tell. See
Okay.
that red box. So what they did is they said, well, here's rotation, and they've extended that warning. This red box goes.
Okay.
It looks like all the way through Iron County, and it stops at St. Francis. Just a heads up, though, if that rotation holds together, it's not only going through northern Iron County, in fact, south of Ironton. So if you're in Ironton, one circulation has passed you just to the north-northwest. This other one should pass you to the south, but it's going to be close. We need to watch that. And that other second circulation is right somewhere buried in here. Again, it's getting a little tough to pinpoint on this using this particular radar product, but that's why you have a bunch of red boxes there. And it looks like there's a new one. Am I right?
New.
Oh no, that is the newest one.
Yes.
In Reynolds County. Okay. So just to be clear, new tornado warning right here. Old and continuing tornado warning right here coming towards Farmington. Old and continued tornado warning right here coming towards near and north of Bloomsdale. So 3 spots, get rid of the, and you can kind of see them a little better there too.
Interesting how this leading line is the one that's really that we're seeing a lot more potency from, whereas the activity along the front not as strong at the moment. That doesn't mean that the storms back out to the west don't strengthen. It's just as of right now, they're just sort of, you know, garden variety thunderstorms. No warnings on those storms along the front back out to the west at the moment. That could change, but this is where we are right now.
Yeah, and keep an eye on that too for me, especially as those start to come into the St. Louis area eventually if they hold together.
Well, the far northwestern corner, like they're not far from Wentzville, just northwest of. So if you're in Wentzville and you're looking off to the northwest, you're seeing quite the light show. Those storms right now stretch from roughly Warrenton up to Troy to Ellsbury. Lots and lots of lightning, heavy rain in that area, but nothing in the Wentzville-O'Fallon area currently. But you're, again, if you're looking off to the northwest, you're getting quite the light show out there tonight.
Yeah.
Same thing for those of you along Interstate 44. Like if you're in Rolla or Cuba, while you might be getting some light rain in your area, if you're looking off to the north, you are getting quite the light show. Sullivan off to the west of you is where we're seeing some of the stronger thunderstorm activity, but these, again, not severe. The St. Louis area, we're in pretty good shape at the moment. We've got some rain south and east of St. Louis, but it's really these storms, you know, south of Jefferson County, south of Festus over southeastern Missouri, that are really the prime suspects at the moment.
Yep. And in Farmington, you know, it's getting closer and closer. Ryan, let me know when we can hop back in. Timing on that gets it around Farmington in about 10 minutes. Let's get an idea of the track on that a little farther to the west. If you're just tuning in to this live stream available on News 4 app, KMOV.com, we appreciate it. We'll hop in, especially as this thing nears Farmington. We're going to hop back in on Channel 4 when we get a break and a chance. We'll be there for you too. But this is a radar indicated tornado warning that's also buried in rain, so it's something you're just not going to see. About 9 minutes it's into Farmington. 2 most impressive circulations are southeast of Iron Lake, headed just to the south of Farmington, and another between Lesterville and Sebula.
They do mention, you know, in the text, and I think this is important to say, that these are really strong circulations, and they could drop a tornado at any minute. And that's just something that, we like to educate you on how radar works, and it sees rotation up inside of the storm. It doesn't see the rotation down to the ground. We're not there. Science is not there.
All right,
We see
stand by.
the rotation. Oh, we're going on the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
Live from the KMOV Broadcast Center, News 4 is in storm mode.
During this break, I want to get you up to speed on 3 tornado warnings in the area, all radar indicated, but still some strong signatures. You're going to see the red boxes that represent the tornado warnings. And the one to the north in St. Genevieve County, I'm actually just going to get rid of these boxes. And what I'm going to do is turn on the Doppler winds. I can see much quicker and easier for you to highlight where these rotations are, okay? You've got one that's moving just north of Bloomsdale in St. Genevieve County. We have another that is approaching Farmington, or maybe just the south side of Farmington. That's going to be in about 8 minutes or so. And then we have another one here near Lesterville. All 3 of these radar-indicated tornado warnings moving to the northeast. And the one out of Lesterville is a newer tornado warning, eastern Reynolds County coming into Iron County. If you're in Ironton, you had one pass north of you. This one's going to pass close and just south of you. All 3 of these could produce a tornado at any moment, but we don't have any confirmation of anything on the ground. And they are going to be wrapped in rain, so it's really going to be hard to see. I don't know that we'll have spotters with visual evidence on this. I want to zoom in on the one that's just east of Iron Mountain Lake, one of the stronger signatures there. And timing-wise, again, I'm going to stick with these Doppler winds because it just helps me pinpoint the rotation better. In about 7 minutes into Farmington, let's see from our Farmington cam how things are looking. And if you can spin that around to the southwest.
We will look southwest?
Yeah.
Okay, give me just a minute here.
This is from
Pull it
Parkland
up.
Health Center in Farmington. Look how there's rain in Farmington now. So you've got rain and then you've got rotation coming in. You're just not going to see it. So and that was Kristen moving it for us to the southwest. The only thing that we'll do is try to look for when the lightning hits and lights up the sky as this approaches in the next 5 to 10 minutes to see if we indeed get any kind of wall cloud rotating or perhaps even a tornado. Again, it's radar indicated at this point. I'm going to switch back over to the radar with the warnings. You see Farmington in there as well. That particular warning, that has about 17,000 people in just that warning right there. The warning farther to the south has about 3,000 people, and that would be the one that I mentioned was going to move just south of Ironton. I'm going to go back to the Doppler winds because, once again, that really helps me pinpoint things. Still not seeing or hearing of a tornado on the ground, but still seeing a real strong signature here. This would be east of Lesterville. So if you're in Lesterville, you're in the clear, but this thing is just east of you. It's north of Sebula, and it would be crossing 49 where 21 connects with 49. So I'll highlight it with a circle here, and we'll put a track on this moving to the northeast. This one I think is going, 50?
Give me a county. What county are we in
This
here?
one is coming out of Reynolds and into Iron.
Okay, northeast at 45.
45, okay, I had it at 50.
Close.
Let's go at about 45. And you get into Hogan in just 7 minutes. Ironton, this may pass near or just south of Ironton, but you want to be in your safe spot. Next 17 minutes, this is coming your way. So those are probably the 2 strongest signatures on radar. Southern St. Francis County in the next 5 to 10 minutes coming into Farmington. We also have this one east of Lesterville that's going to come towards or maybe just south of Ironton in Iron County. We have a third circulation that is looking weaker and weaker by the minute, still has a tornado warning on it. It's right here, and that one just passed north of Bloomsdale. I'm going to switch back over to the Doppler winds. It looks like there's a second circulation trying to develop just west of Bloomsdale as well. You'll see that when I switch back over to the green and red. They're right next to each other. The green represents the winds that are moving towards the radar. That is winds moving away, and that shows me circulation there.
Okay, a note from Kevin at the National Weather Service, our partners. Very impressive circulation in Glover,
Glover, Missouri?
Glover, I apologize. He's saying people really need to be in shelter there in
Okay.
Glover. No, we don't have a confirmed tornado there, but that is so hard to confirm when not only is it dark, but all this is in the rain.
Okay, so we will be on the live stream on the News 4 app and on KMOV.com covering both of these, all 3 of these tornado warnings for you. Let's get back to programming right now. Thank you for staying on the live stream. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, alongside meteorologist Kristen Cornett, and she's doing an awesome job helping us out here.
That's some of the strongest language I've seen this evening from the guys at the Weather Service, mentioning Glover currently.
Yep, you're right, it is. And I think that other signature just southwest of Farmington, while maybe not as strong, is still strong. But just northwest of what is that, Annapolis? So Annapolis, you're not threatened by this rotation. It's east of Lesterville, going to move north of Sebula and towards Hogan. If you're on the live stream, we'll continue with this live coverage. The strongest signature right now you're looking at zoomed in, but what I'd like to do is just kind of zoom out and give you the big picture. Did you want to jump in? Did you get something new?
Nothing new. I was just kind of looking over your shoulder here because that does make it a little bit easier to kind of pick out where were these three main areas that we're watching. And if you watch this enough, you've probably started to pick up on some of this a little bit. I mean, we got one area here, one area here, one area here.
Yep. And the one that you mentioned, Glover, that's the farthest south.
Bottom of the screen.
That's the one that's south of Ironton right now. Arcadia, Ironton, Pilot Knob's on the north side. Glover's on the south side of Ironton. So it's really the south side of Ironton that would probably be a little more under the gun. So I'm switching to the Doppler winds here and showing you those Christmas colors because it helps me pinpoint the rotation. I don't see anything, and I haven't seen anything out of the storms to the west. If anything, those things are weakening.
The storms to the west do not look impressive. And in St. Louis, we're in really good shape right now, too.
Yeah.
It's really just these storms south of the metro over southeastern Missouri starting to make their way into southern Illinois.
Okay, so that's the three, and I switch back over to the radar with warnings. It's a little hard to see. There's a lot of red boxes there, but there's one warning right here in St. Genevieve County. There's one coming into near and south of Farmington, and then, of course, there's the one south of Ironton coming towards Glover. If you are in Reynolds County, that rotation has moved out. There are some areas where we've mentioned your name a couple times tonight, including Warrenton, because, for instance, you saw a tornado radar indicated move north of you, and now here you are with one coming into the south of you. So it can get a little confusing.
We
We're
just
here to
had
keep it straight.
a report. Where's your chat? Okay. The Iron County Sheriff reporting a tornado on the ground near Glover.
Let's hop on.
Live from the KMOV Broadcast Center, News 4 is in storm mode.
We have a report of a tornado on the ground near Glover. This is in Iron County, just south of Ironton. You notice a lot of red boxes here that represent the tornado warnings. And actually, we just got a new one, too, and I'm going to highlight that in a second. But let me focus on the report that came in from Iron County Sheriff that said there was a tornado on the ground near Glover. So we're going to focus on that. I'm going to get rid of the red boxes. There's a lot of storms here, and I'm going to highlight where the tornado threats are. There's one, there's two. This is where the tornado's on the ground. This is a brand new third one, and there's a fourth one right here. That's big picture for you. Let's zoom in on the one in Iron County. The others are radar indicated. This one we're getting reports from
Sheriff.
The sheriff. That's right. Thank you. It's meteorologist Kristen Cornett at my side, and helping us out. We are teaming up on this storm. I'm switching over to the Doppler winds to help me pinpoint where the rotation is.
I understand it's crossing Highway 49 right now.
Yeah, and probably near and just south of 21. Okay, so Highway 49 in Iron County, north of Sebula, around Chloride, near south, really, of Hogan. And probably near or just south by like a half a mile of the junction of 49, Missouri Highway 49 and Missouri Highway 21. I'm going to highlight it for you again with a little circle here. And then I'm going to time it out.
Northeast at 40.
Let me make sure I have the speed correct. I have 45. Let's go 40. Let's get rid of that. And we've got it probably south of Ironton in about 12 minutes or so. So if you're in Ironton too, the other thing is you've heard your name mentioned because of a storm that actually passed north of you. That would be that bright signature there off to the northeast. I'm sticking with the Doppler winds right now, and I know that's not the typical, but it really helps me pinpoint rotation. So what happened was, here's a radar-indicated rotation that kind of came through Pilot Knob and just to the north of Ironton. That's now coming towards Farmington. So Farmington, you need to be in your safe shelter, inside, away from windows, down in the basement. Put as many walls between you and the outside. So if you don't have a basement, an interior room with no windows is good. Then, if you're around Glover, it's coming your way. Glover's just south of Ironton. So there's Ironton, Arcadia, Pilot Knob would be a little farther to the north. It's going to miss you. So if you're in Ironton, you've heard your name mentioned when this passed to the north. Now this one looks like it's going to pass a little bit to the south. And that rotation, again, is the one that we just had a report from a sheriff in Iron County. This is Iron County. There's the county line with Reynolds. And just had a report of it on the ground. It's also a strong signature, and one of the strongest signatures we've seen tonight. I'm going to loop this to get a better idea of the trajectory here, too. Make sure it's not shifting to the east. It kind of is. It kind of is. Instead of going northeast towards Ironton, it's going a little more to the east like this. So this is going to miss Ironton to the south. Okay, so if you're in Ironton, you may already be in the basement. Maybe you're watching. We're still on our live stream, and we're on Channel 4. So whether you're watching on the News 4 app, KMOV.com, maybe you've got TV in the basement, stay there, hang out while this passes to the south. That's the best thing to do. But this is the one that has a tornado on the ground, Iron County, and that's going to move quickly, actually out of Iron and out of our coverage area. The one thing I'll need to watch is if that kind of comes back and clips that southeastern part of St. Francis County. Okay, at the same time, I want folks in the Farmington area to know, heads up, that you've got a tornado warning passing just on the south side of town. We have Parkland Health Center BJC Skycam that's been raining there. You're not going to see these things. I'm looking just to see if the lightning lights it up and perhaps we catch a glimpse. But the reality is you don't want to be outside trying to find this thing. As I switch over to the normal radar, you can kind of see the hook. I'll highlight it for you right about here.
The Weather Service mentioning that intense circulation now just southeast of Farmington, mentioning it's going to be heading into the Kaufman area, and you need to be sheltered in place now.
Thank you. Thank you. That's just confirming what we're saying here. And I'm going to get a track on this one. Do they have a new speed on that? I think this one's still 45.
I do not have a new speed on that.
Okay. I'm going to push it at about 40. River Vaz, that's 26 minutes, and the town of St. Genevieve wouldn't be till 36 minutes. We'll see.
Steve, I'm sorry, I need to jump in just a minute.
Go for it.
Weather Service saying they now have a TDS, a tornado debris signature, south of Farmington. So they are saying tornado on the ground southeast of Farmington. They're going to go with the considerable tag. I know that's something new they've been adding. So this is a considerable threat tornado on the ground southeast of Farmington.
What we're talking about with a tornado debris signature, one of the things that Doppler radar can do is it can see the raindrops in the sky, but it also can see the size and shape of other things. And this little hole right here, just southeast of Farmington, that little hole in the red, that is now seeing probably leaves, tree limbs, maybe some parts of roofs or any kind of other debris that's now in the air. So this is actually spotting debris and telling us a tornado has hit just southeast of Farmington. At the same time, we know, and you're just getting the debris signature here, south of Ironton. We told you this would miss you in Ironton. There, it looks like that could be a debris signature as well. So we kind of have two areas of rotation, but this one they're calling a tornado debris signature. Just southeast of Farmington, tornado on the ground, even though they don't have eyes on it. This is the beauty of Doppler radar. It's nighttime. This thing is wrapped in rain, and this is telling us we've got a tornado on the ground, and I hope that makes people take it very seriously.
If that doesn't make it take it seriously, the language from the Weather Service might. A confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado located near Farmington, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour.
45, thank you for the update. Okay, again, it's really hard to see with looking at this type of radar product exactly where it's at, other than I can tell you it's southeast of Farmington. And there with the Doppler winds, again, the radar is such a great tool, so now I can see we've got it just southeast of Farmington. Parkland Health Center. You move this to the southeast, or if you can. See how that lightning
Okay,
lit up the
yeah.
sky? I'm just kind of trying to see if we can get an image of it. I think we're looking southwest. We need to be looking south-southeast.
Okay.
And thanks. It takes a team to meteorologist Kristen Cornett, who's with me here, who's going to move that camera. In the meantime, well, there we go.
Does that help?
That
Should be due south.
That's due south. That's the high school. So go pan a little more like to our left. That's going to be more to the southeast. And I think we're going to start to see some roof in the picture there. Again, it's dark. We probably won't see anything, but if the lightning lights up the sky, maybe we can see a little of that rotation. Bottom line is it's raining. It's dark. We don't want you out looking for this. I'm going to switch back to the radar. And also check that debris tracker again. There it is. So as you watch this loop, notice how that little hole just pops up. And just because you see this, if it's not located, see how that flares up? If it's not located in an area where you're anticipating a tornado and the other things in the radar, other products kind of give you evidence, and you pile up that evidence and say, yeah, there's a rotation there and now there's a debris. If you don't have all that evidence, some of these can be deceiving. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this is debris. This is, and that's confirmed from the National Weather Service, that we're looking at tornado debris signature. It's now east of Farmington. If you're in Farmington, I'm going to double check with the velocity amp before I say this. If you're in Farmington proper, you're in the clear. Park Hills, you're in the clear. When I say proper, I mean, if you're in Farmington. If you live on the east side of town, closer to the St. Genevieve County border, that dangerous tornado is still on the ground right there. And it's headed to the northeast into St. Genevieve County. I'm also going to zoom in a little bit and just see if you're east of 67, that's where that threat is. If you're west of 67, you're in the clear. There's Kaufman. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see smaller towns pop up. 6 minutes, Kaufman. If you're in Libertyville, it's just north of you. That's Libertyville in St. Francis County. This is going to be skirting just south of Highway 32. Kaufman's in St. Genevieve County. So we have 2 tornadoes. One is basically confirmed by radar. We haven't confirmed any visual sight on this, but man, in a night like this, radar can save lives. It can be there to let you know that the signature is really strengthened and we've seen debris in the air. So we know that there's a tornado there based on radar. That's headed to Kaufman in 6 minutes. If you're in Farmington and you've been in the basement, maybe you're watching this on the News 4 app or down in the basement in the KMOV.com, I'd say you're okay to come up. You haven't been hit. South side of town might have been hit. There may be some power lines down. So you want to be extremely careful if you live southeast of Farmington. You don't want to walk outside and touch any live wires. At the same time, if there is any kind of damage out there, you do want to check on neighbors and help them out. But be extremely careful of the damage, the debris, nails, shingles from roofs. It's all possibility out there. Okay, so that is headed towards Kaufman in about 6 minutes south of Highway 32. I've zoomed in really specifically on these 2 tornadoes. I think it's time to kind of take a bigger picture here. And I'm going to stay with this view from the Doppler winds. And it may look confusing to you, but what it really does in a night like this, when we have rain-wrapped tornadoes and the other radar that you're typically used to seeing, it's hard to pinpoint. But for me, it's easy, at least easier to pinpoint when I'm looking at this. Let me switch back to see if any warnings have been extended. Okay, that one has not. That's good. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain what I just saw. There's still some weak rotation here in southern Monroe, northwestern Randolph County. You need to watch that closely in that area, but it's now a severe thunderstorm warning. That thing could flare up and create a new tornado warning any moment.
New information, tornado
Go for
debris
it.
signature on the storm entering Madison County now as well. Tornado on the ground about to enter western Madison County Mo. So we've got a tornado warning now for St. Genevieve and Randolph counties until 9:15. That's the one you've been talking about.
Yep.
Confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado located near Kaufman, moving northeast at 40.
Let me unpack everything she just said. New tornado warning on the same tornado that's southeast of Farmington. All they've done is they've extended it. So now it does include Randolph County. It's not this one, where I've seen a weaker rotation in northern Randolph County, kind of along the Monroe County border there. It's not that one. That one, that yellow box, is a severe thunderstorm warning. So what that tells me is this has come out of its red box, tornado, and into a yellow box, severe thunderstorm. So it's kind of losing its rotation. I got to tell you, let's watch that closely. This could turn into a new tornado warning any minute. This one, radar confirmed tornado. We've seen debris in the air based on the debris tracker. That is why we have this new warning here into St. Genevieve and into Randolph County. At the same time, there's another storm down here where the sheriff noticed a tornado near Glover. That now has a debris signature on it. And that tornado is moving out of our coverage area into Madison County. There's another tornado warning here in eastern Reynolds County that I don't want to forget about. So there's 4 areas of circulation, 3 of them with tornado warnings. The one
2 confirmed on the ground.
2 confirmed, right here and here. 2 confirmed. This one, circulation, but it's weakened. I just keep mentioning it because I don't want anyone in northern Randolph, southern Monroe, and then eventually into southern St. Clair County caught off guard. And then there's the one that's so far radar indicated. Okay. Now, we've talked a lot about debris signatures. Let me get rid of these warnings for you, too. So what I'm highlighting there is what I'm looking for is these little spots of red and green. The green is winds that are going towards the radar. The red are winds that are going away. And it just helps us pinpoint where there's rotation. Because in the atmosphere, you don't see raindrops passing by each other right next to each other at 60 miles an hour. It just doesn't happen. So what's really happening is it's rotating and it's catching the raindrops going towards the radar, then they spin and go away. So that's why these little spots here is what I'm highlighting. And it's also why when I switch over to the radar you're used to seeing, it's a lot harder to spot all that. I mean, it's kind of a mess. Then the debris tracker. Just talked about that. Yep, I see the 2 spots. This is a lagging indicator. So what that means is, this one's somewhat brand new. Right there, boom. Ironton, you're in the clear. This is coming out of Iron County and into Madison County. This isn't our coverage area, but if you have any friends that are in Fredericktown and Madison County, that is a tornado on the ground confirmed by radar and earlier seen by a sheriff near Glover in Iron County. That's coming your way.
Also getting that considerable tag of confirmed large and extremely dangerous.
On the one coming into Madison County?
Yes.
Okay. Second one is right here. And it's a lagging indicator because it's debris that's been thrown up into the air. And so what radar's doing is it's saying, okay, I see raindrops, but I see other stuff that are long, wide. They're not shaped like raindrops. It's not hail. Something else is in the air. Leaves. It could be shingles from a roof. It's debris because a tornado has hit. It has to be co-located, meaning it has to be right in the same area where you've been tracking rotation and you've been looking at other radar products to know that that is a possible tornado, and then that helps confirm it. So that is now in St. Genevieve County. If you're in St. Francis County, you're in the clear. Now, when I said this is a lagging indicator, that means the tornado's on the ground throwing stuff up in the air. This could fall apart in a few minutes. At this point, it doesn't look like it. That's still a pretty strong debris signature. But it tells us that something has been on the ground. It doesn't tell us if it still is on the ground.
And that is moving into Kaufman pretty much as we speak.
Right now. We were tracking it a few minutes ago. I think we said 6 minutes into Kaufman, which would be right here. And I'll zoom in again.
You need to be in your basements.
Absolutely. Okay, so this one is moving out of our area, but I want to give a heads up for anyone who has friends or family down in Fredericktown. Not seeing it on the other radar indicated tornado warning that I haven't given much attention to, but if you're in Annapolis, you've got the tornado warning headed your way. And in fact, you're in a warning, and there may be some spots of Iron County that get under yet another warning because it's going to be moving this way. If you're in Annapolis, it's radar indicated. It's not like the other 2 that have a debris signature or have been cited. But keep in mind, those didn't start that way. They started like this. So this thing could, boom, be producing a tornado. You need to take it serious. We need you in the basement. I've zoomed in on southern Iron County here. That's the border right there, that dark line, with Reynolds County. Eastern Reynolds, southern Iron County, radar indicated tornado warning, and that's headed towards Annapolis. Let's get a track on that too. Do you have any idea on the speed on that one?
Oh gosh, hang on.
I know we've got a lot going on. I'm sorry. They're all about 45 to 50.
They're all about 40 to 45. The most recent ones are coming out 40 to 45.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And while you're doing that track, let me just mention, according to the Weather Service, they're saying that storm pretty much in Kaufman right now appears to have debris up to around 17,000 feet.
Oh, okay. So the deal with that is the higher the debris, there's actually some scientific studies on this, the higher the debris, typically, the stronger the tornado. So getting to 20,000 feet, almost 20,000 feet is getting pretty significant. So not only does radar see the debris, but it can see how high that debris is being lofted. Something to consider. We hope you're taking this storm serious to begin with, and that if you're in that path in Kaufman, you're in the basement already. I'm going to zoom in on that storm in a second. Sebula, about 7 minutes. This is southern Iron County. Des Arc, this is going to miss you to the north. So Sebula was mentioned earlier when this rotation came through. So the bottom line is there's some towns that are getting mentioned 2-3 times from multiple areas of circulation. And this one's coming more right at Sebula. This one missed just to the north. All right, but there's the timing on a couple towns. All right, let's get back to the ones. So this one coming at Fredericktown, debris signature. This one over, it's got to be over Kaufman now. There it is, right over Kaufman. If you're anywhere near Avon, it's probably just north of you, be in the basement. Clearwater, it's probably going to miss to the northwest, be in the basement. River of Oz will be next in St. Genevieve County. This is sliding south of Missouri Highway 32. So if you're around Millers, this is going to miss you. These Doppler winds are really helping us tonight, really helping us pinpoint the rotation. You know, it's hard to see. There is a little bit of a hook in there right here. And then the tornado, that's the hook echo. And the tornado would be right about here. And there's actually a little, see that little donut hole right there? What that probably is, so this is rain wrapping around the tornado. Rain can't go down when the tornado's throwing stuff up. Rain can't go down. So you get this little, well, it's not as evident now, but you get this little donut hole sometimes when you get a strong tornado, right about there. And that is, let me zoom out, that's out of St. Francis County. We're in St. Genevieve County, right over Kaufman. Here's one thing I want to do too. Sometimes this 3D slice can really kind of help me visualize what's happening in the storm. Yeah. So air is flowing in and up, and the tornado would be right about there. Then you've got rain on the backside that's coming down. When that rain hits, it wraps around the tornado. You're not going to see the tornado, but that is rain coming down. This, see how there's not much rain there? It looks like a little hole. That's probably because the tornado, the air is going up, so this rain can't come down. And this is a strong updraft that's hoisting all this rain in the air, and in that strong updraft, it's rotating and could be doing damage in Kaufman right now.
The Weather Service saying tornado likely moving right through the town of Kaufman at this moment.
Thank you. And a big thanks to Kristen. There's so much going on right now. There's no way to do this.
Lots of information coming to lots of different places. While you look at the next thing, just to mention, I know it's just outside of our viewing area, but I still think it's worth mentioning. We do have that tornado debris signature in western Madison County, Missouri. They're saying the debris up over 20,000 feet. That suggests a potentially really strong tornado there. That's going to pass really close to Fredericktown, maybe just north of there. So if you have friends or family there, just something you need to know about. Again, just outside of our kind of our market area. They get covered by other TV stations, but it's just so close. I imagine we might have a few viewers there, so I did at least want to mention that.
It's a great point. It's absolutely a great point. And you're right. There's probably people that have friends, family there. And hopefully they're giving them a call and a heads up. Okay, no tornado on this, but I'm highlighting it because it is an area of rotation. It could strengthen. Tornado warning, debris signature, likely a tornado on the ground right here over Kaufman. This is in St. Genevieve County. A reason I've got this looping is it's helping me with the trajectory here. So if you're in Bloomsdale, this one is going to miss you. It's way south in southern St. Genevieve County. I'm going to draw some more attention to the longer term cities on that in just a second. This is the Madison County one that has debris up to 20,000 feet. And then this is still radar indicated. But of course, just keep in mind, these two that now have debris signatures, they started off that way too, okay? So coming out of Reynolds County, if you're in Reynolds County, about 2 minutes or so. If you're in the basement in that eastern part of Reynolds County, you're going to be good. If you're in Des Arc, it's missing you to the north. But there you go. 4 areas of circulation, 1, 2 tornadoes on the ground, and 3 radar indicated. All of this is south of St. Louis. So
Speaking of which, there are some thunderstorms moving into the St. Louis area. There's some thunderstorms around the Eureka area out in West County. Just know that none of those are severe at this point. They're just your garden variety thunderstorms, heavy rain, some lightning with those, but nothing severe in the St. Louis metro as of now.
really appreciate that. Thank you. And while I'm myopically focused on these, can you please keep an eye for any future possible spin-ups?
Yes,
I mean, the atmosphere is conducive to that. So this one's about 30 miles southeast of St. Louis. This one is past Farmington. You're in the clear Farmington, about 56 miles south of St. Louis, and then you see some of the others. Those are the ones to worry about. What she was talking about, Kristen, doing a great job of helping me out with this too, is that these thunderstorms coming in from the west don't have any warnings on them. So that's good news for now.
But we are under a tornado watch officially, yes.
We are, yeah. And, we have tornado watch till 10 for St. Louis. As you go east to St. Louis, it goes till 1 a.m. So a lot of red boxes, but hopefully I've kind of discerned exactly where the 3 areas of circulation for tornadoes happening and one that I want to pay very close attention to here. In the meantime, Justin Kaufman, you've probably been in the basement. I want to zoom in on that one and see where that one's going in the kind of longer distance future. So let's zoom in to St. Genevieve County. We mentioned Farmington in the clear, Bloomsdale, the town of St. Genevieve in the clear. This is going, well, let me double check that before I say that. Let me make sure this is going to miss you to the south. It will, but not by much. I'm going to track it 45. I'm putting a speed on it so that when I draw this, we'll get more accurate timing. 9 minutes. South of St. Genevieve, crossing 55, and then it'll cross Highway 61 in eastern St. Genevieve County, about 13 minutes. If you're in Chester, this one should miss you to the north-northwest, so Randolph County. That is where it would be headed next, and it would get across the Mississippi River in about 21 minutes. There's a myth that tornadoes won't cross bluffs or cross rivers or water. It's just not true. The rotation for this storm is generated up aloft and then tightens up and creates damage on the ground. The bluffs are not 3, 4, 5, 6,000 feet above the ground disrupting this circulation. So they just won't. This is going to, if it holds its circulation, it'll cross the Mississippi River. And notice, I'm going to keep an eye on this just to make sure it doesn't veer a little bit more east, because if it does, then Chester's more in the path. But right now, I think this is going to be just barely northwest of Chester. What about Sparta? You would be next. And again, this is one that has a debris signature on it. Weather Service was telling us it was debris at about 20,000 feet in the air. 38 minutes. Yeah, man, if this thing, if it veers a little more east, Chester, you're talking 22 minutes. I just want to make sure that I cover you there. What happens with these storms when they evolve? This thing's rotating, maybe it weakens, it strengthens, it weakens, it strengthens, and it kind of wobbles. So instead of maybe just a linear path to the northeast, they can actually turn a little bit to the right movers, and then about 22 minutes maybe into Chester. Gonna have to watch that closely. Just want to make sure you're covered, you know what's going on. I heard a
it's a new tornado warning. It's for the rotation around Fredericktown, just outside of our viewing area. They're just still mentioning a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado near Fredericktown, moving northeast at 40. I was trying to see if that could potentially clip any of our areas.
Probably missing southern St. Francis County.
Yeah, just barely.
That's a great idea, though, is to make sure we're not.
Because they are including St. Francis County in that warning on that storm, and that's why I wanted to double check that.
Yeah, maybe it just barely clips. So let's say it does clip. This would not be Farmington, okay? This would be way to the south, and it would be the extreme southeastern part of St. Francis County.
Let me redirect your attention real quick. If you can head south down toward Annapolis.
Yep.
Between Annapolis and Sebula, the Weather Service is pointing out very intense circulation now in that area. That could very well be our next tornado touchdown.
Remember, we said this was radar indicated, but that's the way the others have started. And then all of a sudden, you get debris. Let's see if there's any. No, I don't see it yet. The debris tracker is a great tool where Doppler radar can see debris that's been thrown into the air. And what happens is the red is just at noticing kind of uniform objects in the air. Usually it's rain, maybe there's a little bit of hail. When it starts to notice long, weird-looking objects, not like rain, not like hail, like shingles from a roof or tree branches or tree leaves, it starts to paint these little holes in the uniformity. So instead of it all being the same, it's not the same. All that does is it helps tell us there's debris in the air. Now, every time you see that doesn't mean that there's debris in the air. It has to be located with rotation on radar. And, it takes a little bit of a radar analysis and expertise to understand the difference. You can't just look at it and say that is a debris signature. But we have that confirmed from the National Weather Service. That went over Kaufman. We have that one that's confirmed that was up around 20,000 feet. It looks like at least the debris signature looks a little weaker in Fredericktown. So what that means is the tornado lifts stuff up really high. It's real obvious, and then maybe it weakens a little bit, and it's not putting as much debris into the air, but it can cycle. But that's coming right into Fredericktown. And then this is the one where real strong signature, not real obvious. You would want more of kind of a hole, a lot of blue showing up. So just pointing out why we're looking at this debris tracker. 2 spots where we've had debris in the air, 1 that we're watching for. And honestly, we would wait for the National Weather Service. They're the experts to help guide us on, indeed, is that a TDS, a tornado debris signature? Sometimes it is obvious, and sometimes they're subtle. What is obvious to me, though, is we've got 3 strong signatures here.
Tornado still on the ground east of Kaufman. That is going to be heading into St. Mary. So folks in St. Mary need to take cover. This is from our partners out over at the National Weather Service, bringing that to our attention.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We got a continuation of the tornado warning for Iron and Madison counties. Severe thunderstorm capable, just not calling it confirmed, but capable of producing a tornado, still located over Annapolis, moving east around 35.
All right. Hey, Ryan, can you put me on Matrix if you get a chance? I've got the big picture here just because I want to kind of reset what's happening. We've been zooming in on real specific areas that are anywhere from 50 miles to 80 miles south of St. Louis. And I just want to get you the big picture as we also get some storms to come into St. Louis. So here's a line of storms that aren't severe that are coming into St. Louis. Here's all the warnings. That's where you see all the red boxes. Those are all tornado warnings. This is where the main action is. And you're switching me to 7. Thank you. This is where all the main action is to the south. This is a line of storms that we'll monitor, and I know you're keeping an eye on that. Thank you to Kristen. Just a huge help. It is not out of the question that some rotation starts to develop, even though there's no warnings on this yet, as that comes into St. Louis right now. I don't see anything real significant right now, but I want to let you know we're watching that closely. No warnings there. So this is going to be the main action to watch. I'm going to zoom back down there, give you detailed analysis on where the tornadoes are and where they're headed. But I wanted to give you that big picture here.
Notice the lines around the tornado warnings. It's that thicker red band, Steve.
Yep.
Which is sort of a newer thing. I believe they do that with the ones that have the considerable tag, right? When we have confirmed tornadoes and such.
Our tools allow us to do that, and I tweak them so that it would show us, so that our eyes would be drawn to that.
To the stronger and more significant storms. Okay, great.
So
let's see, nothing new, just the tornado still on the ground east of Kaufman heading into St. Mary.
Okay, so that one I'm zooming in on right now. We're going to get real detailed. If you're in Kaufman, I think I'm going to call it all clear. Let me just see you pop up on the map first. There you go. All clear in Kaufman, Clearwater, Avon, the rotation and tornado. And again, there's debris on this. Their radar confirmed basically that a tornado is on the ground. And this still looks like a really strong signature, but it's clear of Kaufman. These 2 towns, River of Oz and Mineth, it's in between you. And we mentioned St. Mary. Thanks for pointing that out too. We haven't mentioned them yet. So
Getting ready to cross the interstate.
8 minutes into St. Mary, maybe just on the north side of town, very close. Bottom line is St. Mary, you need to be in your safe shelter, basement if you have it. If you don't, lowest level, interior room, put as many walls between you and the outside. Let's see where it's going next. And again, I want to loop this. Is this one shifting a little bit? It's going to be, if you're in Chester, you need to be watching this really closely. I'm going to track it just to the northwest of Chester in about 15 minutes. But my concern here is that if it shifts a little bit more east versus northeast, boom, there you go. Bottom line is you should be prepared. We'll be here watching this one because this one has, at least it had, let's see if it still has, not as strong of a debris signature there with that one as that moves. And again, sometimes you're going to see things when I show this debris signature tracker and you think, oh, there it is, there's debris. Not necessarily. It's complicated. There's other factors at play, and you have to look at other things in the radar to know. But you see that little hole right there? That's still there, and that's where the tornado would be. And like I explained earlier, that's where the winds are, get rid of this. That's where the winds are going up so much that they're not allowing any rain down, and that's why you got that little hole there. So tornadoes right about there. This is the hook echo. The reason it hooks, by the way, is because there's rotation around here. So what's happening is some of this rain is getting blown around and wrapped around the tornado. And by the way, this thing is buried in rain. If you were standing here at 55, it's about to cross. You wouldn't see it until it's on you. That's why chasing at night is so dangerous, and most likely the smart chasers aren't chasing. And what we have is spotters who can spot when damage happens. There it is right there. It's getting ready to cross 55. River of Oz, it's to the southeast of you. So that's the little hook echo. That would be the tornado. It would be north of Mineth, but still headed towards that town of St. Mary. And it should go a little northeast, so maybe right at St. Mary. This one, again, had a significant debris signature on it. Not as much anymore, but the velocity still strong enough to definitely warrant that. This is a really strong signature, too, down in Fredericktown.
Yeah, renewed TDS signature just northwest of Fredericktown, crossing Highway 67. Those in Fredericktown and north in Junction City need to be sheltered.
Yeah, definitely. That one's strengthened. Sometimes these storms will cycle where the tornado kind of weakens and then strengthens, weakens and then strengthens. And so I think that's what we just witnessed in that Fredericktown, which is outside of our coverage area, but just a heads up, populated area that you might have friends or family, especially some of these people who are taking shelter. Okay, so all these red boxes represent tornado warnings. I'm going to highlight with a circle where the actual rotation is. Here's one, St. Genevieve County. It's moving northeast a little bit into Randolph County. Then we have one in Fredericktown outside our coverage area, and then we have one in southeast Iron County. That one's north of Des Arc. Let me see what's up with that. We haven't devoted much time to that in the past 2 to 5 minutes or so. That's still radar indicated, but still a really strong signature. Again, north of Des Arc, south of Ironton. Not going to hit you in Ironton. This came through Annapolis. This came right over Annapolis, and I haven't heard of any damage out there.
No.
Have you seen anything?
No,
Okay.
I'm not seeing any damage reports yet.
And that's going to get into Madison County. If you are in Annapolis, give it about another 3-4 minutes, and you're in the clear. The rotation's really east of you, but it's close, so I just want you to be careful. Stay in your basement or safe shelter. I mentioned earlier Kaufman in the clear. Let's see, River of Oz and Mineth, the rotation's going to pass in between you. I would stay in your basement or your safe shelter for another few minutes. St. Mary, you got to be in your basement or safe shelter. When I say safe shelter, that may mean that you don't have a basement, so you're putting yourself in that lowest level. An interior room might be a closet, might be a bathroom. Bathrooms, by the way, aren't always good. If they have an exterior wall and windows, that's not a good idea. But a lot of times the bathroom's inside, maybe doesn't have a window. And so what you're doing there is you're in that interior room, which doesn't have windows, and puts as many walls between you and the outside. And those walls can help protect you from the debris that's going to be flying around. And as that thing crosses 55 right now. So St. Mary under the gun, and then I think I've seen enough of this thing shifting a little bit to the east that it's going to come towards Chester. So I'm looping, and I'm just trying to watch the trajectory kind of look like northeast, and then it started, see how it's kind of shifting a little bit? And I think it's going to hit that St. Mary and then eventually Chester. If that holds its intense circulation, you could have a tornado in St. Mary in a matter of minutes, and then maybe into Chester. What would that be? Maybe 15 minutes? Let me put a timing on that. St. Mary, about 4 minutes. Chester, about 13 minutes. Okay. Again, I'm being real specific because even though this isn't affecting St. Louis and it's many, many miles south, the reason why we're on the air is we've had 2 tornadoes on the ground. This is all south of St. Louis. And we've seen debris thrown up into the air by the radar. The radar can see that debris anywhere from 17,000 to 20,000 feet in the air. The most recent storm that had that debris signature in our coverage area is right here crossing 55. That's where I was detailing St. Mary and eventually Chester.
We've got a new tornado warning coming here any second for St. Clair County
It's
around
right
the
there.
Marissa area.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep, there it just came down.
So this is the storm that we told you coming out of Monroe and Randolph, northern Randolph, by the way, not southern Randolph, which has its own issues down near Chester here, was still strong and need to be watched. And then it looks like a radar indicated tornado warning coming out for that.
Yeah,
Again,
they've indicated that the circulation has just really intensified as it's moving into the Marissa area.
oh, you can even see the spin. Wow, that's wicked. I'll show you what I'm seeing here. Wow, that is wicked. So the green represents raindrops, the speed of raindrops and direction that are going towards the radar. And watch how that bright green wraps around. I'm going to loop it again, and you're going to notice it kind of wrap around. Wow. And then as it starts to go this way, away from the radar is going to color it red because raindrops moving away from the radar are colored red. The radar's in Weldon Spring, by the way, in St. Charles County. But I mean, you can see this thing just tightened up and wrapped up right here. So that's southern, southeastern St. Clair County. Belleville, you're totally in the clear. Let's turn the warnings on. Boom. And that's going to include Washington County. It does include Clinton County, but it's going to be a while before it gets there. And there's 2 circulations. There's actually 2 circulations on this. Let me get rid of the loop. I'm going to highlight them for you. There's one here, and there's one here. And I'm going to go to the radar.
They've got a forward speed on that of northeast at 45, Steve.
45. Oh, thank you for that. Appreciate it. I think the southern one is the one that's dominating. So the one that I will show you wrapping up, it's still there. That circulation is just east of New Athens. This one looks like the more dominant one now. And I'm just gonna track them both for you. That's right over Marissa. So if you're in Marissa, you need to be in the basement, safe shelter, lowest level, as many walls between you and the outside. For folks in St. Louis who are not threatened by this are thinking, why do you keep saying the same thing? Because when you're under the gun like that, all of a sudden Marissa has a tornado warning. Sometimes you don't think clearly, and hopefully it helps just to kind of get that information out there. Where do you need to go? We hope that you have 2 things before these events happen. 1, a way to get the warnings, and 2, a plan. You know exactly where to go. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. Don't want people to freak out. Don't be anxious. This is a radar-indicated tornado warning, but in Marissa, you need to be in the basement or lowest level of your home in an interior room where you can put as many walls between you and the outside. Okay, that's the weaker signature, but you could really see, I was showing you that loop of the rain wrapping around. And what's happened is it's wrapped down here, and this is going to be the more dominant signature, the more dominant threat for a tornado. I'm going to track them both. I'm sorry, you told me 45.
45.
Right? Thank you. Weaker signature, Oakville, about 17 minutes. Stronger signature would be near Nashville in about 23 minutes. And if anyone in the New Minden area remembers the EF4 from, what was that, 2017, it'll probably be, New Minden is just north of Nashville, a smaller community. That'll be in your area in about 23 minutes. This does not have that type of signature at this point, but man, these things can really flare up. I'm going to switch over to the Doppler radar. And yeah, the more dominant signature is the one around Marissa. And what you're seeing there is this little hook right here, right in there. This is going to be just, Marissa's right there. It's not showing up on the map, but it's there. Tilden, just north of Tilden, and then moving to the northeast. So that more dominant one would head towards near and maybe just to the west of Nashville. Man, a lot going on. Thank you for drawing my attention to that, too.
Yeah, and I also want to mention to you, you mentioned earlier questions about any damage or anything. And I did have a report of at least one home completely destroyed just south of Farmington. So that's some scanner traffic from St. Francis County 911 that we're getting.
Unfortunately, when we talked about that debris tracker, that was probably the debris we were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me know if you hear of any, injuries, and
Right.
I hope that's not the case.
Trying to get the newsroom to call around and see what we can find out.
Yeah. So a lot of red boxes representing tornado warnings. They're all south of St. Louis. There is a line of storms coming into St. Louis that does not have a severe thunderstorm warning on it, but there's going to be a lot of lightning in there. I'm going to switch over to the Doppler winds just to get a peek at it. These things can start to rotate significantly, but I'm not seeing any significant rotation. That bright red is probably just a little downburst of wind. As the rain hits the ground, you get these little bursts of wind, but that's not necessarily severe. Okay, so I just wanted to analyze that for folks in St. Louis. I know we've been on the air a lot, and the reason why is because of these signatures on radar that turned out true, tornadoes. And hopefully they help people tonight. Hopefully that home that was destroyed in southeastern St. Francis County, just southeast of Farmington, hopefully they're okay. We'll try to get some more reports on that.
Steve, we have a new TDS going through St. Mary right now.
Okay.
So they're bringing our attention to a confirmed tornado on the ground in St. Mary.
Yep, and that's the one that I think is going to come into Chester too. It's getting a little hidden by the 55 sign, so when I zoom in, you'll see it better.
They're upgrading that to
that's much
considerable. Yeah.
Yeah. When you hear Kristen say they're upgrading it to considerable, there are different degrees of tornado warnings. I mean, there's the base, and then the Weather Service uses this term considerable. Very rarely, like Joplin, they would use the term catastrophic. We're not there yet. But these terms are meant to grab your attention and get people to safety and to take action. We all know that sometimes people don't heed the warnings, and so we use this language to hopefully get you to take it serious.
In
Go
this
ahead.
case, it would translate to the wording they're using in the warning, which is a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located over St. Mary.
Thank you for that. And just looking at the 3D slice here around St. Mary, you've got, not seeing it as obvious as before, but sometimes you get these kind of bounded weak echo regions where you just, the rain's not getting to the ground because you have a tornado. Let's switch back over to the typical radar for you. And that inflow, it's pretty much over St. Mary now, and I'll double check that with the velocity data. Yep. What's happening here is air is flowing in right here. There's a reason why it's a hook echo, is because the air is then rotating around like this. So there's this hook right here, and right about there is going to be where the tornado is. Stronger signature than even the last time we were tracking this. I think last time we said 5 minutes into St. Mary, it's there now. So this is air flowing up into the storm, and then that would be the hook. That would be where your tornado is. I'm pinpointing it better with the velocity data for sure. And let's time that into.
They did go ahead and
Chester,
issue a
7
tornado
minutes.
warning for Randolph.
It's probably an extension.
Yes, it's an
right?
extension. They're
Okay.
they're referring to the St. Mary tornado.
Okay. I'm going to put the warnings on right now, and that's exactly what it is. Yep. So it includes Steelville. Let me zoom out a little, see if Sparta's not in it. So it does include Steelville. St. Mary under the gun right now. Strong signature. We've seen a debris signature on this, so that's the radar seeing debris in the air. So that's radar helping us at night with rain-wrapped tornadoes by telling us, yeah, there's a tornado on the ground. That's happening right here in St. Mary. Chester, that's going to be about 7 minutes. This thing was moving more northeast, but then it kind of shifted to the east. It's one of the reasons why we have to constantly analyze the radar. I mean, it may look like in 20 minutes it's going to miss one town, and all of a sudden it kind of shifts a little bit. It's another reason why these red boxes representing the tornado warning, they're not drawn too narrow, because this thing can shift a little bit north, shift a little bit south. So that said, it does look like Steelville's right in the middle of this newest warning. This is the end, that dark line's the end of this current warning, and then goes into the new warning. So let me give you an idea of the timing. If you live in Steelville, this is Randolph County, Illinois we're zoomed into. I realize I'm zooming in real specific areas that many people in St. Louis probably aren't familiar with. I'm, I would guess, probably 80 miles south of St. Louis at this point, in Randolph County, Illinois, 5 minutes into Chester, 20 minutes into Steelville. And I'm going to get rid of the warnings. If you are in St. Mary, no all clear yet. You got to give it probably another 5 minutes or so. Town of Kaskaskia, Illinois. It's going to be near on the south end of town. And this thing's going to be crossing Route 3, basically in or very near Chester in about 5 minutes now.
Steve, I want to jump in with just a couple things here. The line in northern Jefferson County starting to surge a little bit as it moves into extreme southeast St. Louis County. So they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning there.
Okay.
But they're including that tornado possible tag. Just heads up on that. So that's a new severe thunderstorm warning. It includes Jefferson, St. Louis, Monroe, and St. Clair counties. Let's see. Steve, Zion, Missouri. Do you know where that is? Is that in our viewing area? That's probably in Madison County. Okay.
Don't know where that one is.
Not sure where that one is. Probably out of our viewing area.
Yeah. So what I've done for you here, thank you. What I've done for you here is highlighted all the circulations and tornado warnings. And all of this is south of St. Louis. There's 4 areas right now.
And while you're mentioning that, I just want to hop in one more time and just
Yeah.
remind people, we're on the air because we have confirmed tornadoes on the ground. I know we're covering up programming, but this is very important. Confirmed tornadoes on the ground heading toward populated areas. We've got 7 counties in our viewing area under tornado warnings. So that's what we're doing.
I appreciate that you mentioning that. I'm getting so focused on warning people of what's happening, talking about the tornado on the ground, where it's headed next, that, I realize St. Louis isn't getting impacted by this and we're interrupting programming. We don't want to do that, but we've had multiple tornadoes on the ground and we've already had a report of a home in southeast of Farmington that's been destroyed. That was the language came in the report. We'll find out probably tomorrow in the light of day exactly how bad the damage is, but the initial report, which isn't always accurate, but there's probably some damage, the initial report was destroyed. This is important. I mean, there are lives at stake here. We know there are tornadoes on the ground. We hope that you can respect that, and we're going to continue to do our coverage. Okay, 4 areas here of tornadoes. One in southwestern Washington County now. This one, by the way, has left St. Clair County. So it's out of St. Clair County. It's east of Marissa. If you're in Marissa, you're in the clear. I'm going to zoom in on that in a second. The other one we were detailing in St. Mary, headed towards Chester. This one's actually just clipping extreme southeastern St. Francis County and St. Genevieve County. Probably a very rural area, but just a heads up on that. This one's out of our viewing area. If you're in Iron County, southern Iron County, that one's gone. That one's moved on. Okay, so those are the 4 tornado warnings we have going on. The one that's in southwestern Washington County, I want to address that a little bit.
Can I jump in while you're
Yes, please
changing
do.
the radar?
New information, bring
the
it.
St. Mary storm, the tornado debris signature on that is up to 20,000 feet now, Steve. So we likely have significant damage taking place near the town of St. Mary with a confirmed tornado on the ground, which is heading into Chester. So those of you at Chester, you need to be sheltered now.
This cycled. It was not on the ground the whole time. I'm going to show you what happened here. I'm going to walk you through it, but this thing is coming into Chester now. Be inside, away from windows. You got to take this serious. If you have friends or family down there too, just give them a call. Make sure they're taking it serious. So what we're looking at is that little kind of white circle. That represents an area that the radar is noticing different sized objects in the air. It turns out it's going to be debris. If I rewind the radar, I'm rewinding. See how it's gone? Okay. And then there it is right there, actually. There it is right there. And there it is right there. So it almost looks like it was a continuous path from southeast of Farmington to around Kaufman, and it just popped up again around St. Mary. So sometimes when they say tornadoes skip, it's not that it's really skipping. What's really happening is it's weakening and not strong enough to lift debris and thus cause damage. So it looks on the ground like it's skipping when you look at the damage pattern, but the reality is it's been spinning that whole time. It just wasn't tight and strong enough to lift stuff up. And now it is, once again, lifting stuff up, and the radar's noticing that coming right into Chester. Again, this is a little tough to see exactly where it's at, so I'm going to get rid of the messy radar you're used to seeing, switch over to the velocity data. What this is helping me with is see where green is raindrops going towards the radar, red is away, and then it's past St. Mary. You're in the clear, St. Mary. Kaskaskia, give it about 2 to 5 minutes. But those raindrops are telling me where there's actually rotation. So southeast of Kaskaskia and headed right into Chester. What Kristen said about the debris being lofted 20,000 feet, there's some correlations between how high debris is lifted and thus how strong a tornado is. It's not always exact because sometimes the debris can be lightweight and get lifted to great heights. Sometimes the debris can be heavy, like timbers from a roof, and doesn't get lifted to great heights.
Steve,
but typically, when you get 20,000 feet, you know you've got a strong tornado. Go ahead.
this is the most serious language we've heard all night. They're drawing up a tornado emergency for Chester as we speak. Life-threatening situation. They just issued it. Tornado emergency. Damaging tornado on the ground. Debris being lofted upwards to 20,000 feet. That's a tornado emergency for Chester, Illinois. Steve, this might be the first tornado emergency when have we had it? I can't remember one since Jeff City.
They didn't have it for the Good Friday. They probably had it for the Jeff City.
Jeff City, I think, was the first one in our entire region.
All that is, folks, is a different type of language in order to get your attention and take safety now. And that is happening right here in Chester. These terms, they actually were born out of the Joplin tornado. When we found so many people didn't take warning serious, we had to do some thinking about social communication on these storms, and that's why these big words like considerable or tornado emergency are coming out. So what is a tornado emergency? It means a large, dangerous tornado is confirmed on the ground. You don't hear that too often, but it is happening right now, and hopefully that grabs your attention. This came through St. Mary, and it's coming right at Chester. This is what I was worried about when we were watching and tracking the signature, that instead of going to the northeast, it was actually shifting a little bit more to the east and coming right at Chester. Tornado emergency. What you're looking at right now, I realize I spent a lot of time on this particular radar product, but it really helps me pinpoint the rotation. It's right there, coming right at Chester. It's right where that red meets the green. And what you're noticing is raindrops moving really fast towards the radar in green, really fast away from the radar in red. And I'm telling you, we have expert radar analysis working at the National Weather Service. That's all they're doing. They're not analyzing the radar and jumping on TV and communicating. All they're doing is looking at the radar. When they issue a tornado emergency, they know what they're doing, and this thing is probably causing damage and unfortunately heading into a populated area. That's the other thing about a tornado emergency, is that term is typically used when it is heading into a populated area as opposed to a more rural area. But either way, you know that the threat is there, and there's unfortunately a lot of people that are in the path of that storm in Chester. This is going to be crossing Route 3, probably downtown Chester, or maybe just on the north side by like a quarter of a mile, but that's it. I mean, it's crossing Route 3 in a matter of a couple minutes. Switch over to the Doppler radar here. And again, it's messy. You're just not seeing, a clear hook echo, but there is a little bit of a hook. Oh, just updated, so it's probably in Chester now. In Chester now, tornado emergency. Let's check the debris tracker. Look at that. That's a stronger signature, too.
Oh, wow.
So within this area, the radar is noticing there's objects in the air that are long, that are round, that are all sorts of different shapes. Maybe some are flat like shingles, maybe some are long and round like tree branches, and that's debris. So this is a tornado debris signature right over Chester. We know there's a tornado on the ground. Folks, this is why we're on the air, and I know this doesn't affect everyone, and I know we've interrupted programming, but this is what we do. Lives are at stake. I hope you can appreciate that. And we're going to continue to do it. So Chester, we need you inside, away from windows, down in the basement. Lowest level if you don't have a basement. You're looking for that interior room where you don't have windows and you're putting as many walls between you and the outside. I've repeated that a lot because maybe someone wasn't paying attention. Maybe someone doesn't have a plan. And now that the sirens are going off, they're anxious, they're freaking out. I'm going to continue to repeat that just to kind of help you walk through it. So we're going to get through this. Okay. So where is this going to be going next? To the east. Let's see if it's moving more east. Boy, it's going to be right at Steelville. So Chester now, Steelville, you're next. 11 minutes, you should already be heading to your safe shelter. If you don't have, a tablet or a laptop you can bring down to the basement, you can turn up the volume on your TV, and we'll be here walking you through it. If you do have a tablet, a phone, something like that downstairs, you can get on the News 4 app, and you can watch the live stream. We're there. We're both. We're on Channel 4 and the News 4 app. But if you're down in the basement and you're, you got kids, they're freaking out, you want to know what's going on, calm down. We got this. We'll tell you what's going on. We'll tell you how strong the signature is, when it's going to hit, and when it's all clear. If you're in Chester, it's not all clear yet, but it is kind of passing to the east-northeast side of town now. 11 minutes into Steelville. We need you in your safe shelter. I'm hearing thunder downtown too,
Yep.
and I know you mentioned that there
I
was
want to give you an update on that real
severe
quick.
thunderstorm
Yeah, we
warning.
do have a severe thunderstorm warning. It's basically south of the city, so South County into Jefferson County over through Columbia. That's where the storms are heading next. Severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but I do want to mention, Steve, just heads up, there's also a tornado warning ongoing in Clinton and Washington County.
Yep.
We don't have it confirmed on the ground or anything like that, but that rotation isn't too far outside of Nashville, Illinois.
now. Okay. So just a heads up, quick timing on the severe thunderstorm hitting. The strongest part of the storm looks to be hitting just south of St. Louis, but downtown's getting hammered too with heavy rain. But you see Millstadt in 10 minutes. Again, no tornado warning on this. Damaging winds is going to be the main threat. Belleville in 18 minutes. Will you do me a favor and
need?
can you behind the scenes while I do this just analyze the Doppler winds on that for me?
The Nashville?
No, the one in St. Louis
Yeah.
and Jefferson County and Monroe County.
And let me just mention something that the Weather Service just pointed out too. Perhaps seeing signs of a descending rear inflow jet behind the line that just moved through northern Jefferson County. Could be a sign that this portion of the line will begin to surge, potentially a precursor to mesovortex genesis.
Okay, I know exactly what that means, and I'll explain it in a second, but I want to start with the tornado warning that's headed towards Nashville, Illinois. That green right there, and then that red right there. That's where that tornado threat is. This one has not been spotted. We don't have any reports of this on the ground. I'm going to keep it at about 45 miles an hour. If you're in Nashville in the next 8 minutes, you need to be taking cover. You should already be there. You need to be in your safe shelter, down in the basement. Heads up for New Minden. I believe it was 2017. It was an EF4 tornado. We lost 2 people to Hoys out of this in New Minden. 10 minutes, it's going to be your way. It's not as strong of a signature as that EF4 tornado when that hit. And in a November day, oftentimes we call this time of the year the second season because you tend to see a lull in tornado activity in July and August and September, and then all of a sudden October, usually November and December, things ramp up. But here we are in October, it's ramping up. Plum Hill, under the gun, tornado warning, radar indicated, 10 minutes into New Minden. Right now, I think this is going to pass just to the west and northwest of Nashville, Illinois. We're zoomed into Washington County, Illinois, on that signature. Okay, what Kristen was talking about with the rear inflow jet. Let's see if I can see. Oh, right there, boom. Okay, tonight the Doppler winds are a game changer. I mean, they're help. I could just look at this and know exactly where the main threats are. So here's what's happening, a rear inflow jet. Think of jet like a jet stream, but on a mini scale. And what's happening is that it's coming in from behind the storm and it's thrusting winds and thus forcing the rain out in a bow echo here. That's why it kind of bows. So Columbia, strong winds. You are under severe thunderstorm warning, potential in Columbia for 60+ mile-an-hour winds. And there's a threat tonight, and I don't see it out of this signature, but there's a threat tonight for higher end damaging straight line winds. 70+ mile-an-hour winds are possible. The mesovortex part of that, what they're trying to say, this was what Kristen was just describing, is that sometimes when you get these rear inflow jets, they force this strong straight line winds right here, and then on the northern flank, you end up with rotation. And so you can end up with a typically brief and isolated, weaker tornado, but you can end up with a tornado that develops in the north side. I'm not seeing it right now, but I think the Weather Service was just helping draw our attention. We have an instant message chat with the Weather Service. We relay reports to them, they relay reports to us. The radar expert helping draw our attention to this. We work together as a team of meteorologists that are all here to help serve you, the public, because that's what we all want out of this. And so they're helping us out by drawing our eyes to that. Columbia, threat for damaging winds. Let's watch that area for potential of any kind of rotation. And a big thanks again to Kristen for helping me catch
We're starting to get, scanner traffic reports and stuff in the chat of significant damage in the St. Mary area.
Okay, so big picture here. Here is the damaging straight line winds coming to Columbia, Illinois. Here is a threat for damaging winds and perhaps a tornado just west-northwest of Nashville, Illinois, coming towards New Minden. Here is a tornado that hit St. Mary, and I have a feeling we're going to start to hear damage reports from Chester.
Yeah.
I'm going to zoom in on that again and focus on that because probably in about 5-10 minutes it's coming to Steelville. This is out of our viewing area, but real strong signature. Same thing with this. So if you were in extreme southern Iron County, southeastern St. Francis County, done. You're done. Threat's gone. So those two, let's remove those from the screen. 3 areas right now that have my focus. 2 tornado warnings. 1 severe thunderstorm warning that just flared up, and we're going to want to watch that closely for a brief isolated tornado that can develop. We call them spin-ups because they're not supercell tornadoes. They tend to actually spin up from the ground up, and as that spinning gets hit by an updraft, it tightens and creates the tornado. It's not like a long-lasting, long-track tornado type of threat. Nonetheless, a brief isolated tornado is a significant threat to be paying attention to. So not a tornado warning, but watching closely. I said I'd get back down to around Chester and Steelville. In between there, we have a tornado warning. That is still very tight. I'll bet there's still debris on that. It's getting messy. The debris tracker's getting just some feedback here. So it's not doing a great job, but there it is right there. This is radar noticing debris right over Chester. And there it is right there where it kind of started to pick up. That's St. Mary, by the way, where you just had Kristen mention damage. Did they say what type of damage it was in St. Mary?
Yeah, let me pull
who
that
it came
back
from?
up. It's only scanner traffic, so,
Okay.
that isn't always 100% confirmed. But according to that, they're saying buildings down, vehicles overturned.
Okay. Here's the thing, and we're going to attribute those reports to who they come from. So thank you for saying scanner traffic. And the reason I say that is I've done this enough. I've done this long enough. Sometimes you get reports of buildings destroyed and you get there and there's destruction, but it's a portion of a roof. And it may not be as bad. I have a feeling, unfortunately, I think this is going to be as bad because of the radar signatures, the debris tracker, how high that debris has been lofted in the air. I just say that so that when we give these initial reports of damage, we're letting you know where they're coming from, and then we've got crews that are making calls that are going to try to confirm that. Okay, so that's I was zooming in there. That is still a really strong signature. It's going to miss you in Sparta. If you're in Chester, you're in the clear. Steelville, Illinois.
Speaking of which, they are not going to extend the tornado emergency into Steelville.
Okay.
That being said, tornado is still very possible with the storm as it heads into town.
So,
Still need to be taking shelter in that area.
Absolutely. That's great advice. And you're talking 5 minutes. So, tornado emergency no longer. That doesn't mean there's no longer a tornado. It just means it looked like a much stronger signature, debris in the air coming right at Chester. And now that's still a strong signature. And there still could be a tornado, and that's coming in 5 minutes about Steelville. So you definitely want to be in your safe shelter. Please take this serious. And I think most people probably are. You're probably hearing the sirens too, and anyone getting indoors and hopefully watching us to get the details. 5 minutes into Steelville, into Randolph County. Again, there's some people in St. Louis that are just now getting storms and maybe wondering why we've been on the air for so long. And it's because we've had multiple reports of tornadoes on the ground.
And large damaging tornadoes too.
Yep. Large damaging tornadoes, multiple reports. There was one. We had one just southeast of Farmington. That one southeast of Farmington is the one that is coming at Steelville. And that one destroyed a house, at least that's the report that we got, southeast of Farmington. So this isn't necessarily the entire track that tornado was on. What probably happened is it's spinning the whole time, I can tell you it was because I can see based on the Doppler wind signature. But it wasn't spinning tight enough maybe to do damage to the whole track. So we don't know if this is the whole track or if it was just a portion of it, and then it picked up again around St. Mary, and then St. Mary's right here, and then into Chester. But we know that there's damage in St. Mary, and we know there's damage in Chester. And on top of those two, we've also had a strong signature right here come through Marissa and up towards near Nashville, Illinois. I'm going to zoom in on that too. Kind of looks like it's right in between Oakville and Nashville. Let's get you an update. And by the way, no other damage reports? Just,
No, I'm keeping a close eye.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, it's
I mean, in Madison County, Missouri, but that's outside of our viewing area.
right, and that would be near the Fredericktown area.
In Junction City.
Okay. So this is a weaker signature. If you are in Nashville and in Oakville, stay in your safe shelter. If you're in New Minden, definitely it's coming more right at you. It is a weaker signature, but the tornado warning continues right here, coming at New Minden. Oakville, Nashville, 2 to 5 minutes, you're in the all clear. Probably about 5 to 10 minutes in New Minden. Let this clear to the north. Now, after that, it's a weaker signature, but still could head up into Clinton County. This one's radar indicated. This is not one of the storms where we had damage reported. But timing on that, I'm going to assume 45. That's going to miss Carlisle, and that's going to come up into Clinton County in about 10 to 15 minutes, probably west of Centralia. Hoffman, this is going to miss Bartelso, miss Hoyleton. It is going to be hitting around the Covington, New Minden area, though. But all right, timing on that one, just real specific, give you an idea what's going on. The other thing, too, is, you zoom in and you want to get a good idea of, is the signature stronger, weaker? And there's people in their basement right now that are relying, on that information. They're anxious. They want to know what's going on. If you're in Columbia, Illinois, to Belleville, stronger wind signature, not rotation. Columbia, strongest winds have already passed through. Millstadt, hitting now, probably hit in the past couple minutes. It's still hitting hard now. Belleville, you've got only a matter of minutes. Let's put a track on that.
They're mentioning about how that portion of the line is continuing to surge, so they're keeping a close eye on it over at the Weather Service.
What do they have on a speed? Because these surges, sometimes they can go faster than the line.
No, let me look, see if I can find the severe thunderstorm warning a while back and get a speed.
Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll turn the warnings on and I'll just query it off air. Let's see. They're saying 55. Yep, that's faster than the 45 that I was going to do. So let's do this, and I'll show you what we mean by surge here in a second, too. Okay, so Belleville, 2 minutes. St. Clair in about 3 minutes. Muscuda in about 14 minutes. Notice Oakville mentioned again. I think the strongest winds are going to miss you, but kind of the southern portion right here comes towards Oakville, and Oakville's the area where it's off screen now, but there's a little rotation just southeast of Oakville headed towards New Minden. Some towns are getting mentioned a couple times. I know that can get confusing, and I'll do my best to explain exactly what the threat is and where the threat is. But this threat right here, see how it kind of bows out? It's not a straight line. It kind of surges out ahead of the main line. And the reason why it's surging is
They
because...
just upgraded that to a tornado warning, Steve.
This one, okay.
Yep.
Is that going to be just southwest of Belleville?
Oh, gosh. Capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage, located near Belleville, moving east at 50.
And so there might be two areas here that they're watching. One right here. Well, there's a new update. Yeah. One right here and one right here. In these situations where you get these, what we call spin-ups, they tend to be brief and isolated, but you can have multiple tornadoes in one area. As I take a look at this actually helps me out a little better. It's right here. Right here.
Don't they usually tend to be a little weaker, though?
Tend to, yeah, but on these line thunderstorms where you get a tornado, we had an EF3 in, 2013 that came through southern St. Charles County, Earth City area. This is not that type of signature, by the way. The New Year's Eve tornado back in, I think that was 2010. That was also one of these. It was just a much stronger signature. That was an EF3. So sometimes they're not all EF0s, EF1s. Sometimes they are a little stronger. So right in this area, just southwest of Belleville. Let me get the tornado warning on for you.
They are mentioning that threat there would be for, quote, short-lived spin-up tornadoes.
Okay. And I think the reason why that red extends farther to the north is because there's another area of circulation. So they're trying to cover both. Yeah. And when I say they, it's the National Weather Service, which is great. You want one entity issuing warnings for the entire area, and it's up to us to tell you exactly what's happening, where it is, what it is, where it's going. 2 areas of circulation, one to the northwest and one to the southwest of Belleville. The other thing is sometimes these can be, as they say, short-lived. So unlike some of the storms we've been tracking tonight where we can say this is exactly where the tornado is, there's a tornado on the ground, it's not the case right now, at least, with this situation. This is more of a, they recognize that there's probably some strong damaging straight line winds right here. And we know that sometimes little brief spin-ups or tornadoes develop right on the leading edge. On top of the fact that the environment right now is conducive to developing those little isolated brief spin-ups. So instead of waiting to see it on radar, and sometimes it can literally be below the radar beam's up above, the spin-up can develop here first, and then finally you see it on the radar, and by then it's already done some damage. So what they're likely doing is trying to get ahead of it and let you know that this thing could produce a tornado. It's not as strong of a signature as some of the stuff we've been tracking earlier, but I have highlighted for you 2 areas of rotation, and not to mention the fact that there's going to be some really strong winds out of this. One of the things I want to do, I'm going to step off and check in. Can you check in on the, actually you can help me with it.
Yeah, sure.
The BJC Skycam from Shiloh.
Okay, let me
Let's
check.
point that south.
Okay.
And
Shiloh.
I don't know, yeah, obviously it's dark, it's rainy, I don't know if we'll see anything, but strong winds from hitting Belleville. We have a camera right about here. What we're going to do is just kind of point it. Maybe the lightning lights up and we can see any kind of spinning, lowering, or anything like that.
Got a big roof line in our way. Makes it a little tough to see.
Okay, so that is our newest tornado warning. We have 3 tornado warnings in the area right now. I'm going to switch back to the radar, or the Doppler winds that help me see where that rotation is. I'm going to put the warnings back on. One of them is a tornado warning for isolated brief spin-ups, but also some really strong damaging winds heading into Belleville right now. One of them is right around New Minden. It looks like a weaker signature. I'm going to zoom in that second check. And you know what? This one looks weaker too, heading into Steelville, Illinois. So that is our focus. If I'm not talking about your town and you're hearing thunder, that is a really good thing, okay? I know we've been on the air a lot, and maybe we've been mentioning towns that you've never even heard of because we had a lot of warnings down to the south. But we've had damage to houses, buildings, confirmed tornadoes on the ground, radar noticing debris thrown 20,000 feet in the air. It's why we're still on the air as we continue with tornado warnings that can do that type of damage. The 2 stronger ones were right here in Steelville, in eastern Randolph County, and also in now central Washington County, Illinois, north of Nashville, Illinois. And then here's the newest tornado warning around Belleville. I'm going to get rid of all the warnings and the circles. Just kind of analyze this and zoom in and let you know if we've indeed seen any weaker signatures. What do you have Shiloh in, by the way?
Let me put it in. I'll pop it in 2.
Sounds good.
Hey, oh, it just disappeared from my screen.
Yeah, that's Memorial Hospital Shiloh,
Oh, it's
BJC
coming.
Skycam. And, oh, is that
My
on?
camera's it's locked up, Steve. You're gonna have to give me a minute. It's not letting me change inputs.
Okay, no problem. I might be able to do it on my.
Yeah, I can't change the input. I might need to restart
I just
that.
did it.
Okay.
on mine.
It is pointing
There
in
it
the
goes.
right direction,
Oh,
and
you're right.
I can
Big roof line.
definitely see what appears to be, when we get lightning, maybe a shelf cloud. When you get some lightning, you definitely can see some interesting cloud formations there on that Shiloh cam.
Shelf cloud isn't rotation, but usually an indication of strong winds, not necessarily severe, but in this case, I think it would be severe. And yeah, we have a big roof line in the way. That's not helping.
You can still see some interesting cloud formation, though.
When the lightning
when the
hits?
lightning hits,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so that was up around Shiloh, looking at the storm hitting Belleville. Now I'm going to zoom in to Nashville, Illinois here, and it looked like it was, yeah, it's a weaker signature. Let me loop this to see what's happened with it. I think it has gone through. It's pretty much over or just north of New Minden now, and it is a much weaker signature. There's probably some strong straight line winds here, and there's still some rotation right over New Minden. So there could be what's called a rotating wall cloud, which is like a lowering from the main cloud, but doesn't necessarily go all the way down to the ground and do damage. But there certainly could be a brief isolated tornado. If so, it would be on the weaker side, right around New Minden now. This went right in between Oakville and Nashville. If you're in Nashville and Oakville, Illinois, you're in the clear. If you're in New Minden, you're not for about another, I'd say, few minutes. And then farther to the north, let's get a little closer to Carlisle in the latest trajectory here. Let's monitor this for Carlisle and hitting Highway 50 in about 14 minutes. But as I flip on the warnings, yeah, that doesn't extend to Carlisle, so that would have to be a new warning. And that circulation, boy, it looks like it's really weakening. Okay, good news there. Let's switch down south, and we're going to go to the storm that had produced damage in St. Mary's and is falling apart. Yes, that's good news. If you are in Steelville and you've been in the basement, another couple minutes, you're in the clear. Much, much weaker signature. If you're in Sparta, this thing came a little close to you, about maybe two miles to the southeast. That's broad rotation. That's not a tornado right there. Steelville, a couple minutes, you can come out of your shelter. But you can see how bright. When it's bright, by the way, that brightness is telling us speed. So we see that the raindrops are moving really fast, and they're moving really fast next to each other. So when it was over Chester, they weren't going by each other like on a highway. They were actually rotating. And so that rotation signature is really bright, kind of obvious to see there, but it's much weaker now in eastern Randolph County. I suspect they're not going to continue that tornado warning. So good news that we've got two areas of circulation that are now weaker. One in Washington County, one in far eastern Randolph County. So I'm telling you, the strongest storm right now is hitting Belleville. Let's check back in on that. You know what? I'm going to move that camera.
Just want to mention, they've just done a continuation of that tornado warning for St. Clair County. They're saying a severe squall line capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage was located over Shiloh, moving east at 50.
Yep. So this is Shiloh. This is Memorial Hospital Shiloh. Actually, I just moved the camera a little bit to look to the kind of southwest. But Interstate 64 is over here. St. Louis is that way. And then this is kind of looking at the storm. That's kind of flashing our face a little bit. But sometimes when the lightning lights up, I'm just going to look at the horizon. We'll keep an eye on it. Look, it's dark, and I know it's raining and hard to see, but always good for visual confirmation if you see any kind of lowering. And the Weather Service certainly appreciates that if we could relay that to them. It's one of the reasons why we have that instant message chat with the National Weather Service.
Getting some damage reports starting to come in now from Chester, from emergency management. Buildings damaged, trees down, partially blown off roofs and such.
Okay, this horrible news that we've had a couple reports of damage. One was just southeast of Farmington earlier, right about here. And then the other two were St. Mary and then Chester. If there's any good news, it's that tornado has all but fizzled out. Right over Steelville, it's done. The strongest storm right now is in Belleville, and we're going to zoom in on that and take a closer look. What Kristen's saying in our instant message chat with the Weather Service about how they're relaying to us that small brief tornadoes could develop, where that would happen is anywhere along this surge. And so notice, instead of a straight line like this, notice how all that rain pops out ahead. And the reason why it's popping out ahead is because the winds are so strong right here, and it's a stronger straight line wind signature than it was earlier. So instead of that line, it bows out, and then along the leading edge, you can get, I'm noticing, 2 inflow notches. I'll explain what that means in a second. But 2 inflow notches where you might end up with a tornado. So you have kind of a dual threat here. And I got to tell you, the threat for damaging straight line winds looks like it's increased lately. So if my advice here is treat this all along this line like a tornado warning, where you're just going down to the basement. Because if it is straight line winds that are 70, 80 miles an hour, and that puts a tree down in the house, you could be in the living room getting hit by that, whereas usually with a severe thunderstorm warning, maybe you don't go to the basement. This is a little higher end situation. I play it safe rather than sorry. And of course, we do have the tornado warning on this, and I'll highlight that with the red box. You'll see that my two circles, one's at the southern flank of that red box representing the warning, the other's kind of right in the middle of it. That's the area where there's just a higher threat. But see, this one even straddles where the yellow is, where it's just severe thunderstorm. So even this kind of southern flank into St. Clair County, just play it safe, head to the basement, and let this storm pass and hopefully not produce a brief tornado. This bowing right here has gotten stronger in the most recent scans. I'm going to get rid of all this that helped explain what was happening and exactly where we're watching for the strong winds and rotation. And we'll switch over to the Doppler winds. I would say the greatest threat for a tornado is just southwest of Lebanon right now. Right about here, just to the west of Route 4. It is not as strong of a signature as what we had earlier when we had that damage in Farmington, but you've got really strong, bright green and the bright red, just really strong winds. We're probably going to get out of Scott Air Force Base a gust report. Will you keep an eye out for that? It'll give us an idea of wind speeds there. They're going to be pretty high.
I did get one at Freeburg. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
54 miles per hour.
Okay. So
And we also have some small branches down in O'Fallon, Illinois.
Okay. My guess is we're going to start to hear more of at least that, branches, tree
Power
branches.
outages in Fairview Heights.
Okay. So this storm, as it's coming through O'Fallon, Fairview Heights, Shiloh, Belleville, now into Scott Air Force Base and Mascoutah, could be causing some power outages, down power lines, trees, tree branches, that sort of thing. And then on top of that, not only do you have these really strong winds, but this area is one area I'm highlighting, but you can get these little brief tornadoes to develop. So you are in a tornado warning in Lebanon. We don't have confirmation of it on the ground. If you're in Scott Air Force Base in Mascoutah, I don't see significant rotation in your area, but I do see really strong high-end winds. That could be taking down some tree branches. You don't want to be near a window when that hits. And this is still a weak signature, but it's just one of those things that can kind of flare up, spin up from the ground. If you're in Lebanon, be in the basement. It's the safest thing to do.
Speaking of, what if people don't have a basement, Steve? Can we hit on that for just a minute?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to?
I'll jump right in. So here's the thing. If you don't have a basement, you just want to get to the lowest floor, right? So if you live in a 2-story home or even a 1-story home for that matter, that's your first floor, right? Lowest floor. And then the idea is to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So you're talking basically a room without windows, right? Maybe that's a bathroom. Maybe that's a closet. It's going to be different. In different homes. You're going to have to figure out what's best for you. Basement's always the best, but if you don't have one, lowest floor, interior room with as many walls as you can put between you and the outside to give yourself the better chance of not being injured, because tornadoes, more often than not, maybe they'll be able to take out those exterior walls, but oftentimes you'll see those interior walls still standing. And I just want to let you know, Steve, they did issue a new tornado warning downstream of that one. It includes Bond, Clinton, and Madison County, Illinois until 10:30. Same storm, but now they're just mentioning places like all along the line from Troy to near Scott, everything moving east at about 50.
Okay. I appreciate that. That's why you see a larger red box now. Notice how it's a little farther to the north. It does include Highland. It does go into Bond County and Greenville. I'm going to switch over to the Doppler winds. Yeah, I mean, as far as trying to pinpoint one spot that has the best chance for a brief tornado, it's still going to be coming right into Lebanon. And then I think you're looking at some real strong straight line winds, especially, I'm going to track it for you actually, especially in this area here. That's more specific. And that's 50 to 55 miles an hour. Yeah, it might be moving a little more northeast. Let me do a new track for you and go more northeast than east.
And while you're doing that, I just want to mention the Weather Service is mentioning how the main rotation near Lebanon is intensifying.
Okay. Well, that helps to pinpoint exactly where we're pinpointing the best threat for a tornado. New Baden in about 5 minutes, Aveston in 10 minutes. This is the line. So this is all the strong winds. And then, of course, anywhere along that line, but especially near Lebanon, we're watching for potential of a brief tornado. I just don't see anywhere other than right around Lebanon as the best location right now, but that just could change really quickly. Breeze in about 15 minutes, Beckemeyer in about 21 minutes. And so that's going to come out of northeastern and eastern St. Clair County and get into Clinton County. There's Bond. By the way, there's Freeburg where we had the 54-mile-an-hour winds. They're on the southern flank. So about 60 mile and up is where you get damage, and that's what a severe thunderstorm warning would be. So they're in the southern flank where the winds aren't as strong as where it's surging right here, and they had 54. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're 65, maybe near 70, right here in that surge that's moving into Summerfield right now. New Baden in about 5 minutes.
More damage reports coming in. They're saying Chester has lost its firehouse.
You know, if there's anyone, you know, they may not have power, but if there's anyone in the Chester area, I think one of the things I should probably mention, and I'm going to highlight Chester's down here in Randolph County. There is a tornado warning just to the southwest in Perry County as well, by the way. That rotation is really broad, and that's going to miss Chester. But that's good news there. What I wanted to mention, though, is that there's going to be these spots like in Chester and in St. Mary where there was quite a bit of damage. There's Chester. There's the tornado that's now fizzled. It's gone. You want to be, I know you probably want to be the one that helps your neighbor. You got to do it smart. Hopefully you have an old pair of shoes in your safety kit. So you got to make sure you have shoes because there's going to be old nails and damage from roofs and shingles and splinters and wood. And then the other thing is there's going to be live wires. The other thing to think about is if you smell gas, you got to get out of there. I rarely do you hear me say things like that, but when we're hearing things like they've lost their firehouse and that there's homes and buildings destroyed, while I don't have eyes on the exact damage, it's sounding to me like it's that type of damage where you need that reminder. You got to be super careful. Help out neighbors. Do it smart. You can't be there if you smell gas. You got to get out of there. You got to avoid down power lines. The power company hasn't probably gotten there to turn anything off. And especially be careful with the kids as you may be walking out or around damage to get to safety. You want to be especially careful with them.
We've had a question come in about what to do if you're in a mobile home, and want to address that, Steve, and I'll give my 2 cents and then jump in here. But honestly, you don't want to be in a mobile home.
You don't want to be there.
You need to be out of the mobile home before the tornado arrives.
Yeah.
You need to know where that safe place is going to be way before severe weather ever occurs, so that as soon as a tornado watch is issued, you can go to that place, whether that's a neighbor's home. I know some mobile homes have sturdy shelters on site, whether that's the church or the fast food restaurant down the street. That is absolutely a place you do not want to be. Another place you absolutely don't want to be is in a vehicle. Both are pretty dangerous. I can remember we haven't had hardly any tornado deaths in the News 4 viewing area in quite a long time, and the most recent one I can remember was in a vehicle. So that's about that. In a mobile home honestly might be the 2 worst places you can be in a tornado.
I agree. You need more time to plan it out and have a plan ahead of time to get to that safe shelter. I just wanted to make sure that the folks in Chester, you know, I just don't want anyone hurt that survived the tornado get hurt or worse because of the down power lines, gas leaks, damage like that. All right, let's get back to tracking. Tornado warning here in northeastern now, St. Clair County. It's actually going to move out of the county pretty quickly and into that northwestern part of Clinton County. It does include now southeastern Madison County. I told you how it has been expanded to the north to include towns like Highland. That's our only tornado warning. I do want to point out there's a severe thunderstorm warning farther to the south here. And as I was looking at the velocity data, that's turning a little more interesting. So that's northeastern Reynolds County coming into Iron County. And the circulation's not super strong right now, but this thing is spinning. This is the environment we're in. If a thunderstorm can turn strong enough, it's going to rotate. There's no tornado warning on that, but we need to watch that closely. And the other thing is, this would be coming in at communities that have already been hit. This is northeastern Reynolds, Iron County. Think of the towns we've mentioned tonight, like Pilot Knob and Ironton, and then maybe up towards near or south of Farmington. So just an early heads up, we're watching that. There's rotation. It's way weaker than it would warrant a tornado warning. So it just doesn't warrant a tornado warning. It's way weaker than that, but it's something to keep an eye on. Okay, so that's northeastern Reynolds County. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. The only, look at those are storm reports. And all those are tornadoes.
Wow. We also have some reports coming in. Let's see, Swansea, reports of strong winds there, some medium tree branches down, some power outages, some trees down, blocking some roads in O'Fallon, Dartmouth Drive at Whitehall Drive in O'Fallon, trees down. So these are kind of coming in a scattered fashion, but lots of damage reports starting to kind of trickle in.
Okay. And that was Swansea you mentioned?
Swansea is where we have reports of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, medium tree branches down, and power outages.
It's not surging as much. That's good news. So what I'm looking at here is this was where we had that severe thunderstorm warning, and it was surging out. Now notice how it's more of linear. It's a line, and it's surging a little bit here, but that's not as worrisome. So what's happened is I think the winds have kind of calmed down, and now it's kind of turning more into just a line. There's still a tornado warning on this, but I believe the severe thunderstorm warning is done. Yep, it is done. So let's zoom in and try and figure out where the best threat for a tornado is. It would be really just south of Highland, not in Highland, and maybe around St. Morgan, near and north of Trenton. And even there, I'm not seeing a real obvious signature here. But that would be it. It's on the north flank of what once was the surge. So still want to watch that area in between Highland and I believe that's St. Morgan. But still not seeing it. This is not like earlier tonight when we were dealing with real strong signature. This is much, much weaker, but an environment that's conducive to producing these quick-hitting, damaging tornadoes. Just not seeing a real strong signature out of that. Still may be some strong winds with this, but certainly not damaging.
I just want to jump in and make sure you know the game plan going into the 10 o'clock news, Steve.
Okay.
Take a look at that. And while you're looking at that, I just want to also mention lots of us now in the clear. The tornado watch has been dialed back quite a bit for many locations. Let me kind of clear what's on here. So you can see from St. Louis City to the west, you are in the clear. Tornado watch over. As far as the Missouri County goes, it's just those of you in southeastern Missouri still in that tornado watch. And of course, most of the Illinois side east of St. Louis. Just wanted to hop in and mention that, Steve.
Okay. And are we airing News 4 at 10 at 10?
We are at 10
Great.
o'clock. We are going to go straight into storm mode. We are going to keep tracking storms as long as there are tornado warnings. And then as soon as that is done, we are going to get to our reporters who are on their way to some of these locations and will likely have some reports for us, maybe even some damage video and such. I know they were heading that way in the last hour or so once we started getting those confirmed tornadoes on the ground.
Okay, very much appreciate the update. Yeah, so our news was going to be pushed back because of football and stuff, but that's gone now. We're actually going to start on time, and that's going to be in just about a couple minutes. In the meantime, you're watching this big picture here, the kind of wide view. I just want to let you know if you're in St. Louis, you're in the clear. The storms from the cold front have pretty much passed. The cold front is going to be right about here. And
that's a new tornado warning. Looks like, is that Marion County? Yeah.
It is. That's a different area that we haven't addressed yet. So let's zoom in and find that one. Okay. So this is going to be east of, you know what? This is probably the one that passed through New Minden. This is going to be south of Centralia. No, it's a different circulation. Okay, new circulation that really just flared up south of Centralia. If you're in Centralia, you need to be in your safe shelter down in the basement. This is going to come out of far northeastern Washington County and it's going to move into Marion County, just south of Centralia, and eventually towards Salem, Illinois. You've got time in Salem. I'll tell you how much as I track. Can you give me a speed on this? I'm going to guess 45.
They're mentioning the town of Wamac, by the way, Wamac. I hope I'm saying that right.
Okay.
That's where the location is near. It's moving northeast at 65.
So
65.
I mean, it's on the 65. Geez, yeah, that's ripping. Okay. I got it into Salem in about 13 minutes. I mean, the matter of a couple minutes into Centralia, you need to be in your safe shelter. And let's zoom in and get some of that small town.
All right, Steve, you can take a pause for just a minute. We're going to start the 10 o'clock news.
All right.
Live from the KMOV Broadcast Center in downtown St. Louis, News 4 is in storm mode.
Well, it has been a busy, busy night. We've had tornadoes on the ground. We've been on the air for several hours. Because of it, we've had a lot of damage. Chester, among some other cities that have had damage in other areas. And we still have some warnings. You're looking at the Doppler winds because that is helping me pinpoint where the rotation is. And we just got a new tornado warning. I'm going to put the warnings on the map here and kind of zoom in and give you the big picture. Yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have one to the south in Iron and Reynolds counties. But the red boxes, and I'll remove the Christmas colors here so you can really see them, those are our 2 tornado warnings. I'm not seeing a real solid signature here, especially just south of Highland would be the area I'm keying in on. But there's a surge of some strong winds earlier, and that could spark a brief isolated tornado. That would be southeastern Madison. It's pretty much out of northeastern St. Clair County. Then the newest tornado warning is coming right out of extreme northeastern Washington County and heading into Marion County, Illinois, right around Wamac and Centralia. And then in about probably now 11 minutes, it would be getting into Salem, Illinois. Those are our 2 tornado warnings. Let's get the...
That line of storms also producing some pretty good wind damage. I got a report of power out in Fairview Heights, and watching the Ameren numbers, tens of thousands of customers out of power across the metro.
So that's when this storm hit Belleville, Fairview Heights, and it since has weakened to the point where there's no severe thunderstorm warning out, but there is a tornado warning. So this still could be producing some strong winds. When you have a tornado warning, the threat there is for tornado, but I'm telling you, it would be buried kind of within the leading edge of this line of storms. Again, about Highland to St. Morgan to maybe Trenton is the area I'm watching. Not seeing a real strong signature, but this storm has a history of producing some straight line wind damage. Okay, then we move on down to near Centralia, and not as strong of a signature as what we saw earlier tonight with, debris strewn into the air, 20,000 feet. It's not that type of signature, but there is a tornado warning for the storm that is right here over Centralia, just north of Grand Prairie. It's along 51. It's pretty much going to be crossing 51 any moment now. The town of Irvington, it's just to the northeast and on the south side of Centralia. So you need to be, if you're in Irvington and Centralia, in your safe shelter, down in the basement if you have it. If you don't, put yourself in the lowest level and put as many walls between you and the outside in an interior room. Typically it's a closet or a bathroom, something like that. And you said that was moving at 65 miles per hour, right?
We are on the Washington County tornado warning?
Yeah, and actually it's really out of Washington County
Northeast
now.
At 65.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's meteorologist Kristen Cornett. We've been working this storm as a team together, and boy, we've needed to because it's been so busy. So that's now in southeastern Marion County. It's out of Washington County. Centralia, still very much under the gun. And then you can see some of the towns that are in the path of the storm. Salem, eventually in 12 minutes now. Iuka in about 18 minutes. So that's going to be the path of that rotation. This is very different than the really strong signatures we were seeing that did end up producing some damage. We've heard reports that the Chester Fire Department what was the wording? Did they say it was?
The house was gone.
The firehouse.
Firehouse was taken out.
These initial reports come in, and you don't know exactly what the damage is. I don't know exactly what it means by gone. Is it just the roof? So we have crews that are dispatched to check in and get there safely on some of this damage, and also call around and try to confirm this too. But those are our 2 warnings right now. And it's hard to see with the Christmas colors, but I'm telling you, that really helps me pinpoint rotation. So I'll put the typical radar you're used to seeing, and I'm going to highlight for you this area right here that's just southeast of Highland and right around Centralia. If you're in St. Louis, the threat's done. We just got hit by some storms. Most severe part in the metro came through just southeast of metro and did some tree damage, taking down power lines around Swansea, Belleville. And that storm has since weakened. It's why
Steve,
there's no warning on that right now.
We've got a new TDS now in Marion County. This is going to be just north of Walnut Hill. They're now calling it a tornado on the ground, moving into Marion County, Illinois.
All right. Well, it's already in Marion for sure. It's out of Washington. Let's get back to.
Just north of Walnut Hill is the area they're highlighting.
Okay.
And while you're looking that up, the exact language on that firehouse was Chester has lost its firehouse. Those were the exact words coming in the storm report from the Weather Service office.
Yeah, and hard to detail,
exactly what that means.
But it sounds
this
bad.
is the wording.
It sounds bad.
So tornado on the ground, Marion County, Illinois,
Right here.
tornado debris signature out of that one.
Okay. So what you're looking at, what I've highlighted with a circle southeast of Centralia, is radar picking up debris that's in the air right now. So that's what the debris tracker is. Go ahead.
Near Centralia, they're saying it's moving northeast at 50 miles per hour.
Okay. And just because you see, some of this down here doesn't mean that that's debris too. We know that this is located exactly where that rotation is. So that's why we're pinpointing that spot just southeast of Centralia as the tornado on the ground. We told you in the past, it's been 5-10 minutes now, that Centralia, you need to be in your safe shelter down in the basement. And timing wise, that would get into Salem in about 9 minutes. So this debris tracker is actually noticing debris that's in the air, and the reason why is the Doppler radar is actually noticing that right in that little circle right there. So I'm going to put another track on this just so everybody in this line knows the timing. Okay, there's some of the cities that are in the path. But this little thing right here, this little area of green and white, what that's telling us is the radar is seeing that there's not all these kind of uniform raindrops and maybe sometimes a little bit of hail. Instead, there are other objects that are all different sizes, and sometimes it's long pieces of tree branches that are round and long, and sometimes it's flat shingles, sometimes it's leaves, nails, it's debris. We know that a tornado has hit, and that's one of the beauties of Doppler radar. It can help protect people and tell you, look, we know this is on the ground, take it seriously, even though it's at night, and it's probably wrapped in rain as well, so you wouldn't actually see it. But we can actually see it with the radar, and that's one of the advantages that Doppler radar gives us. So again, that's a kind of radar confirmed tornado warning. I'm going to switch back over to the warnings. You can see the hook in it too as I zoom in. So the red box represents the warning. Town of Raccoon would be next, and then would be crossing Interstate 57. So Raccoon about 3 minutes, 57 about 4 minutes. I'm going to get rid of the warnings, and you're going to notice right there is the hook echo. And what's happening here is the rain is getting wrapped around the tornado. It just updated, so it's right about here now. It's getting pushed around. So this hook echo is just a signature on the radar that tells us there's some rotation here. You couple that with all the other evidence we have, including the debris tracker, and you know that the town of Raccoon's about to get a tornado coming your way. If you're in Centralia, it's on the east side of town. I wouldn't say all clear yet in Centralia, but it's probably another couple minutes or so. That signature may not look that strong, but then when you look at the debris tracker, I mean, it's there. And that's what, our instant message chat with the Weather Service, they've been pointing at too. So maybe the radar signature doesn't look as strong, but then you look at the debris tracker signature and it's there.
We also still have that tornado warning for Bond, Clinton, and Madison counties, Illinois, till 10:30. That's the one that has been doing some pretty good wind damage. Reports of power outages, some tree limbs down and such, but also capable of producing tornadoes. And we still have a tornado warning on that one until 10:30 p.m. At the same time, want to mention a severe thunderstorm warning down in Iron and Reynolds County. You guys are under the gun too. That's got a tornado possible tag with it, Steve. Just for you viewers who are like, what does that mean? There's some rotation in there. There's no indication. We not enough to issue a tornado warning yet, but there is some rotation in there that's being monitored. So that could potentially get upgraded, but as of right now, that's a severe thunderstorm warning for Iron and Reynolds until 10:45.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you mind passing that on to Deb for me?
Sure.
I appreciate it. All right, so we continue to stay on the air because we've got multiple tornado warnings. I do not see a real obvious signature out of this section of the storm where we have, and I'll put the warnings on it, the red box right there. And if there was a tornado, it would be on the leading edge right here, coming through Breeze. Earlier, we saw what looked like a little rotation near Lebanon, and we have not heard of any damage there. But it's the leading edge right there that I just don't see any real obvious strong signatures, but they can develop really quickly. And I'll highlight for you here. Near and east of Breeze and headed towards Carlisle. It's in Clinton County. I mean, that's going to be the main focus for that tornado warning. I just don't see any real obvious signature compared to, in fact, let me do one thing too, is check the debris tracker, which has been really useful tonight. No, nothing there. Compared to what we just saw, I know there's a lot of clutter here. I know there's a lot of clutter, but I'm going to highlight it very specifically. That's where it is. That's where there's debris in the air. If you are in Centralia, you're in the clear. If you're in Raccoon, you're not. If you're in Salem, Illinois, you're not. That is the radar picking up debris. The tornadoes picked up debris and thrown it into the air, and the radar can see that it's not just raindrops and maybe some hail in there, probably just raindrops, but instead there's just these awkward, long objects, big objects, just all sorts of different, so it's not uniform. That's really what the radar's looking for in this debris tracker. It's saying, okay, this is uniform. This is raindrops, they're all about the same size and shape. This is not, and we know that that's where the exact area where the potential tornado is, rotation, and so you combine that all together, and all that evidence points to the fact that you've got a radar-confirmed tornado right here, tornado debris signature east of Centralia. It's pretty much along or just north of, is that 161? Yeah. If you're in Centralia, you're in the clear. You can come up from the basement. We mentioned the Walnut Hill area when we first got this warning, by the way. Walnut Hill just popped up on the map down here, and it missed. It was just kind of west and northwest of Walnut Hill. Okay. So let's see where that thing is going. Downstream. Okay, we've got it into Salem in about 5 minutes or so, crossing Interstate 57. And then I'll zoom out so we can see a little farther downstream. About 18 minutes, maybe near Kinmundy. That's northern Marion County. And if you're in Clay County, we'll continue to watch that as well. So that's our 2 tornado warnings. Let me switch back to the warnings. And we have a severe thunderstorm warning as well down to the south. This one had shown some interesting signatures of at least rotation aloft, just nothing that would warrant a tornado. And I'm going to switch back to the Doppler winds. Same thing. I'm just not seeing it. Just broad rotation right here coming east of Ironton. That's a town we've mentioned a couple times.
Steve?
Yes?
Wanted to jump in here just for a second. And we've got some reports of some trees down, blocking some roads in the O'Fallon area, some trees down on tops of houses, some locations in Fairview Heights, utility poles snapped off. So clearly that line is still packing a punch. And if you want to take a breather for just a minute and kind of regroup, I think we're going to head out to Alexis. Yes, Alexis Zotos is in St. Genevieve County. She's heading down to check out some of the damage there. Alexis, can you give us an update?
I can, Kristen. So we are driving east on Highway F. If you guys are looking at a live picture, you can see a lot of the debris in the roadway. There are an extensive number of trees that have been snapped in half down here along this roadway. We're just west of Kaufman in St. Genevieve County on Highway F. We've seen a lot of the sheriff's department out here. They've already been out cutting these trees to clear the roadway. Many spots the road was blocked from downed trees. If you take a look, we've got some video that we fed back here in as we're driving down this stretch, and you can really see some of the damage in terms of the trees that have been down. I can tell you that we did see at least 2 structures that were damaged. It was hard to tell in the dark if they were, a garage of some sort or a barn. So there is some damage down here. We can see that there were pieces of debris that have flown into some of the trees. but a lot of trees down along this road. Emergency service is out here. They are checking on folks to make sure that everyone's okay. At the house that we stopped at that had damage, they told us everyone was okay there. But like we said, we're driving east now towards Kaufman in St. Genevieve County, where there are a lot of downed trees, and that's sort of what we're seeing here. Kristen.
All right, thank you so much, Alexis, for that report. As you get closer and see some more stuff, we certainly will be coming back to you. Thank you for that. I know Steve has some new information he wants to pass along.
Yeah, thanks, Alexis. I just want to highlight for you, she was down here in St. Genevieve County near Kaufman. And by the way, that's the storm that did some damage just southeast of Farmington, went into St. Genevieve County, eventually went into St. Mary. The town of St. Mary had damage, and then Chester had quite a bit of damage as well. That's where she's at. Our crews are out there to help confirm what type of damage we have, but we've heard some bad news, like the Chester firehouse was lost. That's what we've heard, but of course we want to get some confirmation on that. All right, let's get to what is new. I'm going to get rid of that circle and zoom in on the tornado warning and a new severe thunderstorm warning to the east of St. Louis. And at the same time, I want to point out that that tornado that spun up near Centralia, just like that, gone. I mean, it was quick. We saw it on the debris tracker, and now it's gone. The tornado warning's gone. This is really good news if you're in Salem, Illinois, Kinmundy, southeast and now east of Centralia. Tornado warning no longer out. Not even a severe thunderstorm warning on that. So that's brand new. No tornado warning there. Tornado warning continues here from Bond County into northern Clinton County. It would be along the leading edge right there, but I'm still not seeing any one particular location that looks like a tornado's developing. I'm just not. And in fact, on our instant message chat with the National Weather Service, they say, hey, we're just not seeing anything that's supportive of those little brief isolated tornadoes right now. So they confirmed that too. That's good news. If that changes, we'll be here. We'll keep you updated. What they did do, though, is they issued this, the yellow box. It's a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds. This is the damage that Kristen was telling you about coming through Swansea and Shiloh and O'Fallon. So let me zoom in and get rid of the boxes, and we'll track this storm. I'm going to loop it a little bit here to get an idea of the trajectory. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to include this portion right here. I don't know if that's in the warning or not. It's in the southern flank of the warning. But what you'll notice, here's the reason I'm including that. This section right here is starting to bow, meaning it's coming out of this line. So there's some strong winds in there for sure. And there's a threat for some damaging winds. So I want to include that with this whole line as I track that for you through parts of Clinton County and Bond County and into Fayette County. So let's stop the loop here, put a track on this. Did we get a speed? It's got to be fast. It's probably 55 to 60.
Is this the severe thunderstorm warning?
Yes.
Okay, let me hang on just a second. I just got to pop it up. It'll take me just a
caught you off
second.
guard. Thanks for the help, too.
This is moving east at 50.
East at 50, okay. I was just going to say, there's so much information. And earlier tonight, we had 4 areas of circulations, 3 tornado warnings, 2 tornadoes on the ground, all at the same time. It takes a team to cover that. And thank you to Kristen Cornett, who's in with me tonight. So Pleasant Mountain in about 3 minutes, Seminary in about 8 minutes, Patoka in about 13 minutes. Damaging wind threat out of this. I'm not seeing the threat for tornadoes, but especially in that southern flank here, I think that's probably the best bet for some damage. We've already had some reports out in the Metro East. This really flared up out there, and that's where we had some reports of some trees down. No doubt some power outages out there as well, but that's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning moving east of St. Louis.
A couple other reports I'd
Yes.
like to share with you. So we're getting our first conflicting piece of information here, Steve. Someone from emergency management is saying the Chester Fire Department house was not hit. So I don't know, conflicting information. We said we thought that was possible. At the same time, I do want to mention that we do have a report of a tornado in Chester at 9:16.
Oh, yeah.
Large trees are down. They've been uprooted. Small boats have been blown around. Also a report of a tornado in Bremen. I hope I'm saying that right. That's in Randolph County. So it would be the same storm likely. That was at 9:25. So shortly after it would have been in Chester. Power lines are being reported down along Route 150. So we know we had a tornado there. There's just some conflicting reports about exactly what types of damage we do and do not have.
It was a public report, and this saying that it was not lost is from
Emergency management.
This is why when we first started talking about this, I told you these initial reports sometimes come in and they're just not wholly accurate. We have our crews out there to bring you the truth. And so they're making calls, they're finding out exactly what's happening. That said, I'll bet there is some significant damage in and around Chester and St. Mary. We do know, based on the debris tracker, that the debris was strewn in the air. And that's a storm that came kind of out of southeastern St. Francis County, southeast of Farmington, through St. Genevieve and towards St. Mary, and then here's Chester. And our Alexis Zotos is out in St. Genevieve County right now. Alexis, what are you seeing out there?
Thank you. Hey, Steve. So we are, sorry, we've got a lot happening right now. We are stopped on Highway F right now, again, just west of Kaufman. If my GPS is correct and the service is a little spotty down here, we're just west of Crown Valley Brewery and Distillery, if people are familiar with this area in St. Genevieve County. So we're stopped on F, and you can see our picture right now because there are power lines that are crossing the roadway, and the fire crews that have been making their way down Highway F to try to clear the roads, they had to stop and turn around. So they stopped us and told us to turn around. We've been kind of following them as they're working to clear the roadway, check for damage out here. So you can see the picture that we've got from the storm mode Silverado is of these power lines across F right now. There's some on the street, but we're also told farther down they're elevated. So this part of F is just not passable right now. And there's just a ton of trees that have just been snapped in half through this section of the area. Down here on our way, as we've been going on F towards Kaufman, is that we have seen a few structure damages. Hard to tell in the dark if they're barns or garages, but a lot of damage down here in terms of trees that we can see for right now. And at this point, we're going to have to turn around and go a different way. We were headed towards St. Mary, where we've heard some reports of significant damage. But for now, because of these down power lines, we're going to have to go back a different way. Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for being out there. And I want to let you know, Alexis, you're probably going to have some heavy rain move in. It's not severe right now. I'll keep an eye on it if anything kind of tries to redevelop down there. But you're okay, but you are going to have some heavy rain move in. Our crews are doing a great job out there trying to confirm what exactly the damage is, and it may be really tough to get to these areas. We're talking about Chester, which is 49 miles south of St. Louis, and right now she's in St. Genevieve County on the Missouri side, so she's kind of right where this circle is, and trying to, get through down power lines and trees to really discover and show you the truth of what type of damage happened tonight. But let's focus on where there could be future damage. I do have a severe thunderstorm warning to the south that I haven't mentioned for a while, and that's in Reynolds and Iron counties. I'm going to switch over to the Doppler winds just to see if I don't see any real obvious signatures for rotation there, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning on that for damaging winds. I would say this eastern portion of Reynolds County is probably the more likely spot to get some damage, and that would be this surging section and this surging section here that could produce some strong straight line winds. Then I'm going to take you, let's get the warnings on, back up into the Metro East. If you're in Highland, totally in the clear. This red box represents the tornado warning. Really within that box, though, it's the leading edge right here that we've been watching for any kind of spin-ups along that leading edge of that line. So it's east, southeast of Greenville. You're in the clear. And the other thing is, I just haven't noticed any little signatures that tell me, this is about to happen, or something's really spinning, and if it tightens up, boom, you've got a tornado. Because we're not seeing that right now, doesn't mean it won't happen, but it also is why the yellow box is the severe thunderstorm warning. So instead of the tornado warning being extended, that's going to expire. We'll continue to watch this leading edge. I don't want you to think it can't produce a tornado, but I think the main threat here is it moves towards, say, Vandalia and this northern part of Marion County, northeastern part of Clinton County is going to be damaging straight line winds. Not hearing anything about hail out of this, by the way.
And that would mean we would be tornado warning free for the first time in many, many, many hours. But I do want to mention that we do still have several severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing in the area. In those areas where those severe thunderstorm warnings are, we do still have a tornado watch. And just a reminder that severe thunderstorms can and occasionally do produce tornadoes. A lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings have a little tag on them that say tornado possible, which basically means, the ingredients are there. This could be upgraded to a tornado warning. This could produce a tornado. So that's something to keep in mind. But as of right now, we just have that one tornado warning left, which looks like it's set to expire at 10:30 in about 6 minutes.
And like I said, I haven't noticed any one particular area better than another for rotation, but I'm going to take another look just to let you know. There's possibly a couple spots where there's some weak rotation right here northeast of Carlisle and another just to the southeast of Greenville. Obviously not enough for the Weather Service to prompt a tornado warning, but I just want you to know that it's not impossible that in 5 minutes we have a new tornado warning in this area, because very quickly in one radar scan, all of a sudden that section of the line intensified. But right now, the main threat out of that line is going to be damaging straight line winds. If you are in St. Louis, you're in the clear. If you're in Belleville, you're in the clear. I know we've had some tree damage and power lines down out around Belleville, Fallon. You're in the clear now. Just be careful. There may be some down power lines out there. And then a little farther south, we have some friends that have been hit by tornadoes that are getting hit with more storms. And that would include this southeastern part of St. Francis County, St. Genevieve County here, and then St. Mary and Chester. And then into Iron County, we had a report of a tornado on the ground near Glover. It was near Glover, it was south of Ironton. That track was probably like this and went towards Fredericktown in Madison County. So that arrow represents where there was rotation, there was a tornado, not where it is now. There's no tornado warning out of that now. And here's another area that had a tornado warning, and that's probably roughly the track. I'm not saying it was on the ground that entire time, but it was rotating along that track, and actually was rotating even before then. But we first started hearing of damage just southeast of Farmington, and of course now you have still some heavy rain in that area. It's going to clear Farmington pretty quickly, and areas to the south and southeast it'll take a little bit longer, but we're seeing kind of the beginning of the end here, and it's definitely over for St. Louis. The areas east in our Illinois counties, we don't stop. We're there for you. And I think the one thing I need to focus on is just this area right here. Does that line try to spin up a brief tornado and a quick tornado? And I just don't see it right now.
Speaking of Illinois, these have done a lot of wind damage, David. I was just checking the Ameren website. Almost 37,000 customers without service on the Ameren, Illinois side. On the Missouri side, it's under 3,000. Just shows you what a difference. It's just been way more volatile south and especially east of St. Louis tonight.
Absolutely. And actually, when the storms were coming through St. Louis, and I can kind of loop this back a little bit, a few more hours, there was heavy rain and some strong storms coming through St. Louis, but it really didn't flare up until all of a sudden, right there around Columbia, Illinois, and then boom, that's when it hit. So, we got hit with some storms here, but it was right about boom, right there. And that's still what I'm tracking. So when I say I'm tracking the leading edge, that is actually the same storm that hit Belleville and O'Fallon and Fairview and Shiloh, Swansea, and took down some tree limbs, some power lines. It started out around Columbia, although we haven't heard any damage out there. Right now, and I've got a look at the Doppler winds here too. There's a couple areas of rotation, just not real strong. So I still think while this tornado warning is going to expire, and in fact the area where there is some weak rotation is now outside of the tornado warning, I think within that yellow box, the severe thunderstorm warning, I could be back in 5 minutes here with you and tell you that we've got a new tornado warning. So that could happen. I just mentioned that so that you stay on your toes if you're anywhere from around say Vandalia, especially south of Vandalia down 51 to north of Centralia. Let me stop the radar. And I'll highlight for you the two spots I was seeing as far as kind of weaker rotation. One here coming towards Patoka, pretty weak. No tornado warning on that. And here's another one that's probably coming in near and south of Vandalia. So the thing is, we're in an environment where the leading edge of this storm can develop these spin-ups pretty quickly. It just happened in near and south of Centralia. That thing happened really quickly within a couple minutes and then went away. But we did see there was a debris tracker, so we know that that tornado did touch the ground. It flew, it put debris up into the air, and we could see that on radar, and then all of a sudden it went away and it's gone. These can flare up that quick too. I mean, that was probably a 10-minute tornado warning or 15-minute tornado warning. By the way, what I'm referring to is a storm that's long gone.
Steve, I want to mention our last tornado warning did just expire. So whenever you're comfortable, we can hand things over for news to kind of take things over for a bit.
Very comfortable with it. I will be here watching this like a hawk. If there is a new tornado warning, we're here to keep you posted and keep you updated. So don't worry, we have you still covered on any kind of new warnings. But let's get to the news, and Paige Holsey has the latest.
Steve, thank you so much.